Hey guys, Jay, welcome back to the channel. Okay, guys, so today is a very, very, very special day, and it's going to be a very special live stream. Um, as you guys know, we're all huge fans of Masters of the Universe here, so it comes as no surprise that all of us, and I do mean all of us, especially particularly in this community, we're all really hoping that this line, has been is going to continue to be successful, and that we're always looking for the biggest and the best and the newest, bits of information that are coming out because of that. Um, but because of that type of thing, because of all of that, we do have to realize that some things are going to happen. Things like rumors and leaks and all that kind of stuff. Um, that's all gonna be there. So, and then of course there is people who have some more information than the average person. Um, Sorry guys, I'm just typing really quick. And we definitely have to look into all the type of resources that we can. And one of those resources who's been very vocal about, particularly about Master Universe and of course the toy industry in general, is my very special guest today. And you know what? I want to bring him in here because he does have a wealth of information and knowledge to share with us. Now, before I bring in my special guest, I am going to go through a few ground rules, everybody, because unfortunately, as it so happens, I wish it didn't have to be so, but it does, and we're just going to go over through a few ground rules just before we get started, just so that everybody knows where we stand. Okay, so the ground rules for today's discussion. There are several moderators in the chat, and they will have full discretion on what questions are appropriate. So, guys, don't question the mods; they are the ones who are in control of your ability to ask questions. So, keep it civil, guys. Mods will give warnings on troll posts and can give out 5 minute timeouts if required. Okay, so again, keep it civil, guys. Please don't get two timeouts, and anything can happen at that point. So mods will decide how to handle repeat troll posts and spam. So guys, don't be spammy. Keep it cool. Okay. And realistically, and this needs to be, I can't believe this has to be said, but it's true. Um, Mr. Knightlick does not have to answer any questions. Scott is under no obligation to answer any questions he doesn't want to. Okay. He's a guest and we do value his time. Okay. Guys, please behave responsibly. Okay. It's a privilege to have my special guest here today. Honestly, he's giving us a lot of his time. He doesn't have a lot. So, guys, please help me welcome friend of the channel and, of course, wonderful insider on toy information, Mr. Scott Knightlick. Scott, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
That was a crazy intro. I mean,
You're
not the whole thing, just like
Scott.
Scott is always just fine. Hi, thank you so much for
I
having me
can't hear
back.
you, Scott. I'm not sure what's going on. I can't hear you.
No, you were hearing me before. Try it.
Having technical difficulties, guys. Technical difficulties. It does happen.
Does this work?
Oh no, Scott, we can hear you. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Because you could hear me before when we were just testing.
Yeah. Weird. It was something on my end. Don't worry. It's all good. How are you today, Scott? How are you?
Lovely. How are you?
Good, doing well. A lot of questions today, and of course, we come to the guru to ask these questions, and it is a topic of great interest to many Master Universe fans. The chat is hopping today. It really is. A lot of people looking forward to finding out more information. And today, I think I wanted to be able to bring you in and just talk about rumors, leaks, and some of the information that you've been able to share with everybody, and maybe even ask about a few of your previous videos which you posted in recent within the last month or so. But first of all, once again, what are you up to these days, Scott? How are things going in your world right now?
Honestly, great. Like, I'm 2 Marvel Legends away from completing 25 years of collecting. Daughter's great, wife's great, work is fantastic. Like, I'm working on some amazing toy product with clients and other long. Yeah, I mean, it's great. Yeah, it's been busy.
Well, that's what we want to hear. Okay, we right off the bat we have our first super chat. So, Red Foreman says, "Afternoon, Scott. Now that the A-list Motu characters have been released, what are the chances that they'll do a Filmation version to release again?"
Well, Filmation is definitely something that's clearly, I think everyone can agree, is owned by Universal. Like everyone, the copyrights on the back of that stuff, like whether or not the whole brand has reverted. So that would have to be something Universal would license out. And I mean, everything depends on the popularity of the brand and how well it sells. If the brand sells really well and they need new ways to release the main characters, doing the animation style is like a no-brainer. But you have to be able to sell enough toys to demand yet another. I guess that's the short answer. If there's demand, absolutely. Yeah. If there's enough sales, that's an easy way to refresh main characters.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. Red Foreman, thank you again for the $5 super chat, my friend. Really appreciate it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, right off the bat, we're getting some super chats, and I do appreciate that. We are going to talk. I am going to ask Scott a few things before we continue with the questions. There will be some time for Q&A, guys, at the end, but let's give Scott a chance to get seated and comfortable. But here we go. $10 super chat. Thank you again, my friend. Follow McFly Toys on IG. Toys R Us will operate 500 pop-ups at Macy's and has standalone stores, one in New Jersey. If Masters of the Universe is leaving Target, Walmart, what if True is trying to make a return to the US, and couldn't they pick up the line exclusively?
Well, short answer is probably no. I actually made a video about this. I don't think it's aired yet. It's probably going to air. I make my videos about 60 days in advance. So like I kind of forget which one, like the ones that air that day. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one. And I'm just talking in general about kind of this misconception people have that a pop-up store in Macy's does not a Toys R Us make. When the reason that Toys R Us could carry exclusive lines when it was around was because of the floor space that they had. Look at Target, it has 2 aisles for an action figure. Sort of, 1, 2, and then sort of a half. Call it 30 feet, call it 20, 30 feet, 10 on each side, and then another one. Toys R Us had like 8 aisles just for action figures, maybe 9 if you count it. So that's what gave Toys R Us the buying power. These pop-up shops are tiny. So they're just going to carry like the top A-list stuff, Monopoly, Barbie, Hot Wheels, Mr. Potato Head, Darth Vader. The chance of them even carrying collector product is probably slim. Like Toys R Us had that collector vector section again because they had 9 aisles for just the adult or for the action figure. So basically that's kind of like the reality check on that. Is while it's exciting, a pop-up Toys R Us in Macy's is not a Toys R Us.
Got you. Okay, so there'll probably be many more questions that we can get to, but there will be a Q&A session at the end. Thank you guys again. Thank you guys for the super chats. Really do appreciate that. All right, so Scott, a lot of things have been happening in the toy world as of late, but specifically with Master Universe. So, Scott, in your opinion, which of the 3 current Master of the Universe lines, Origins, Masterverse, or Netflix animated, has any chance of a retail presence, if any, going forward from this point on? I know you've already said that they're going to be pretty much over for them at big box retail, but is there any opportunity for any of those 3 to continue at all? What are your thoughts on that?
Without big box retail for any line, any brand, you're basically then talking, online distribution to niche markets, collectors. Now that we're down to Walmart and Target, it's also why I've also made videos about this on the channel, on the Spector Creative channel, about how, losing Toys R Us was really it was so much bigger than people kind of realize. Not just because of the memories, but again, it was that aisle space, and it was being able to carry all these brands that wouldn't even be carried at Walmart and Target. And now that we're down to just them, and I know there's Meijer, and there's there are other places to buy toys, and of course Amazon, but the any toy line, so this isn't a MOTU question, needs big box retail to continue, period. If not, like or if it's something that's an alternative product that's, for just adult collectors or something like that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank
And I
you.
do think MOTU could continue for adult collectors.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, if it was just sold online or through Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store, like it could. There are enough. I mean, we know there are. It's happened in the past with both Super 7 and Mattel.
So there's I think there's the question a lot of people are wondering. You've been kind of and you've been kind of forward facing in saying that Master Universe is dead at retail, but does that mean big box retail, or does that mean all encompassing retail? Because we do have fan channels now, we do have Amazon, we have direct market through Mattel Creations. I think a lot of people just want a very much clear indication as to what you mean by dead at retail. I think that's what a lot of people are looking
Well,
for.
I don't think I ever used the word dead at retail, or if I did, I mean, because that just sounds very harsh. um, it's just that both. I mean, Walmart is already there is no, I mean, unless so there's other people who see it maybe in the chat, but none of the Walmarts near me have any Masters of the Universe product at all anymore. It's all been removed, and Target is down to 3 pegs and a mecha on the mid shelf. And that Sunman thing on the bottom shelf. That's their bottom shelf item, the leftover from December. So, um, again, reverting to the previous question, a toy line has to be supported and at Target and Walmart, or at least Walmart, because of how big Walmart is, in order to hit the minimum quota. All of the other guys, even your Amazons, your Entertainment Earth, your Big Bad Toy Store. I made a video also about this. There's plug number 12. About how if all the small retailers united and became one giant Voltron retailer, Entertainment Earth formed the head and Big Bad Toy Store was the left arm, and Amazon was the body or something. It's still not even close to what Walmart can do, or Target. And it's all about MOQ. It's because there's a very high minimum order quantity on this type of product. To produce below that, the manufacturer is going to pay a huge premium, because that's what the vendor charges if you're under the MOQ. And then that has to be passed on to the consumer, which is why you see like Super 7 figures, for 50, $60, because they probably produce way under the MOQ. So MOTU, I think, could very much survive to adult collectors, produced under the MOQ and sold online and through maybe Entertainment Earth, Amazon, Mattel Creations, but it would be I guess this is what answers the question in a roundabout way. It would be at a very high price point at this point. So when you're dealing with product that is not sold at Target and Walmart, that means immediately, okay, you're producing under the MOQ, which means you're going to have to charge the customer a premium price because you're charged a premium price. So I think that is the long-winded direct answer.
Okay, so there's the other thing that I think a lot of people are getting some confusion about. Now we've talked about it at length, but I think it does have to be addressed at least one more time. Scott, what is MOQ? What are you talking about? We talked about it before, but
sure. Sorry, yeah, business term or production term. MOQ stands for minimum order quantity. So anything you are making, whether it's a scissor or a blob action figure, based on what's going into the product, if it's just a little bit of plastic with 2 pieces, or a lot of plastic with 100 pieces that have to be assembled, the vendor, the factory, is going to say, okay, I'm not going to produce this item, whatever it is, could be a scissor, unless you order my minimum order quantity. For a number, let's just say that's 50,000 units. Meaning, if you only want 30,000, the factory is going to say, no, I'm sorry, my minimum is 50. And the reason for that is because of the setup time. When you're doing a unique item, you have to train the staff, train the employees who are assembling it. You have to set up all the right, everything. The bulk of the work is that setup. Once you're set up, then you're just cranking them out. So they want to have as few setups as possible. So if they could set up once and crank out the same thing and they could do 2 billion units. That's awesome for the vendor. That's why they won't have MOQs. So if they have to constantly reset up the assembly line on these very low runs, meaning they're run 5,000 units, that's what very low. Now set up the next one, 5,000 units. Next one, 5,000 units, versus set one up, run 1,000,000 units. That's what MOQ is. So if you're below that, they're going to charge you, if they're even willing to do it. A lot of vendors won't even produce below MOQ.
Understood. Or they'll charge you a massive premium in order to get it done.
Which is why Super 7 action figures
is
cost
$55. Exactly.
That
equates quite a bit, right? There's even this new line of muscleoids, which are very expensive right now. They're almost $60. And of course, they're vinyl toys, which are very, very expensive. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification, Scott. If Masters of the Universe has been removed from big box retailers, can it possibly? I think we already covered that. But how about other smaller retailers like GameStop or Walgreens? I know that you mentioned Walgreens in the past. Could there be an open relationship with smaller retailers to bring Master Universe to market, in your opinion?
So that part of that question goes back to the previous answer about how all the small guys could come together and become this ultimate Voltron of a toy store. Would they have big enough buying power? And the answer is absolutely not. No. GameStop is obviously a bigger player than, say, well, even like Barnes and Noble has toys, or it's obviously Target, but GameStop still only has I think 800 stores in the U.S. Walgreens, on the other hand, has I think over almost 10,000 stores, which is why they were able to do so many cool exclusives. A line like MOTU could actually be sold at Walgreens, 100%, if Walgreens was interested in taking that. But I think it's pretty clear after Steve Ann left, who was the toy buyer, who was also a collector, after he left about 3 years ago, we're now kind of it's the same thing. Like when I left Mattel, I left them with a full tank of gas. When Steve left, he left them with 2 years worth of exclusives that were in the hopper. And now that he's been gone 3 years, we're seeing the results of him leaving, and that Walgreens isn't doing collector exclusives anymore. It was something he pushed for. So MOTU could be at Walgreens if there was a internal champion at Walgreens that really wanted them. Yeah, they could take the MOQ. Otherwise, we're looking at the other scenario is the high price scenario. So, anybody could have a MOTU line if they were willing to pay the premium. We're just talking, high prices.
Understood. So, but definitely someone like Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth could do something, and you have experience at Entertainment Earth. Is Entertainment Earth possible to actually pick up a line like this? Do they have the buying power?
They kind of do, but I don't think they would want to take that inventory risk.
Okay.
Because inventory risks are the biggest problem in retail, period. Big box all the way down to mom and pop. And, I'm sure this isn't an issue to share. When I was at Entertainment Earth, one of the things that was kind of a joke was this huge pallet in the warehouse of Rose figures from episode 9, 8, whatever the first one she was in. 8.
Yeah.
They're all forgetful. Sorry. And, it just huge number of units. And it was just, set. And every day it sits there, it costs money. We were almost joking, how much money has the Rose, all those pallets of Rose figures cost us today? So yeah, it literally is daily flushing money down the toilet to order something that is not going to quickly sell out.
Yeah. I think Rose was in episode 8, I believe.
Yeah, no, she was in 8. Yeah, that was the one.
Perfect. Hold on for a second. Another super chat just came in. Just give me 1 second, Scott. Let's see here. Charlie Weaver asks, with that said, retail is evolving and business models have to change. I can't see Mattel just shrugging and closing up shop. What new innovations do you think they're going to explore in the future? Scott.
Well, Mattel is not closing shop. I think you're referring to closing shop on MOTU. I'm assuming that's kind of the question. And I mean, is this a MOTU specific question, or are we asking about the company as a whole?
What the heck just happened there?
I don't know.
Sorry about that. I think it's in reference to MOTU, I believe.
Okay, so look at history. Mattel has walked away from MOTU many, many times. They did in '87, they did in '91, they did in 2002. So, you know, saying I can't see Mattel doing that. Well, they've done it 3 times already. So when a toy sells, Mattel ships it. When it doesn't sell, they don't make it. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's all sales, guys. It's not about disappointing fans or not wanting to support a brand. It's this you have to just think of Motu as a fork or a cup or a brick. It's just something a company makes. And if nobody wants that brick, the company's not going to make that brick. We are so emotionally attached to it that to us, it's like, oh my God, how are you not doing everything you can to save this brand? But for a large Fortune 500 company, it's a line item on a spreadsheet, and you look at it and say, oh, sales are here or they're not. And if they're not, we better put resources into something that will make money, or our stockholders will, pull out of the company, and then that's bad. So there you go.
Unfortunately, this is the reality of things. I believe that all companies are beholden to their shareholders. So if the bottom line is not met, I mean, we're dealing with that now with Hasbro, right? I mean, the shareholders are demanding more profits, and unfortunately, they're cutting 10% of their workforce to make that happen. It's just that's a really sad situation.
And I think the name shareholders gets a bad vibe or a bad rap, because replace the word shareholders with owner and now say the same sentence. It makes sense. It's like the owner of the company wants his company, has the right for his company or her company to make as much or as little money as they want. And they're the owner of the company. If you don't like it, go form your own company. I mean, that's capitalism. The company is not here to, of course, nobody wants to see people laid off. Of course. I saw brilliant toy makers laid off over the last 20 years. Absolutely brilliant ones that we were all like, what? That guy can build a Hot Wheels set out of styrofoam, and has 35 years of design experience, and you're letting him go because his salary is too high after 30 years. But it's like, that happens, and unfortunately it's part of capitalism. But that's the way our economy works. The owners get to make the call.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the reality of life right now. I think we did answer this, and we can just pass on it. But why is big box retail so important to toy lines like Mattel Universe? I think we did cover that, but quickly again, just
MOQ, because they can support the MOQ. Without it, under the MOQ, they're charging to a higher price.
Yep. Okay, so now we're going to get into some more recent news. But just before that, Red Foreman asks, are Mattel Creations exclusives proudly made under the normal MOQ? If so, they're selling out under 30 minutes. Should they order bigger quantities?
Oh, good question, Red. I enjoyed your TV show, by the way. So that's also kind of goes back to when I was talking about the problem with inventory. And, just as much as Entertainment Earth deals with that, so does Target, so does every mom and pop shop in the world, and flower store, milk store, anything. Milk store? Are there milk stores? All right. So the reason they're not producing more is because it is a much safer bet to slightly produce less than the demand to ensure you've sold out cleanly than to overproduce and be stuck with inventory, because it costs money. And then if you have to sell that product at discount in order to get rid of it, you are now damaging the brand and future sales, because people will say, oh, well, I'm not going to buy that now. I'll wait till it goes on clearance. So it's a much, much safer bet from a business perspective to make sort of 80% of demand, call it, figure out if you can sell 10, make 8. And you know what? The 2 people that don't get it, I get it. And as a collector myself, yeah, it stinks. But that's how business works. If you're stuck with inventory, that's not a good business model.
Okay, so we have another super chat, but I just want to introduce this one topic before we get to that super chat. So Scott, have you heard of the recent leaks on sites like deepdiscount.com?
I guess not.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to come up on some recent rumors and leaks. I wanted to go into that momentarily, but we will go ahead and get to this super chat first. Carlos Caceres, says, "Hey Scott and Jay, what would you have done differently if you had been the Motu brand manager during this retail run and relaunch of Master Universe and Masterverse and the Netflix series?
God, the $1 million question. I've thought about that. And I mean, honestly, the short answer is, I would have just kept Motu going online for collectors. From all the time I spent on the brand working on it and also working on selling it into retail while I was at Mattel, my big takeaway was that just there wasn't an audience outside of the adult collector. I looked at all the data from 2000X. I was, on the street, working it at Target and Walmart, trying to sell it in. And it's a weird question because it's like my answer would be, well, I would just say, no, let's sell it online to collectors. If I was in a position where I was like, no, you are the brand manager and have to bring this to retail, I mean, I'd have to think about that more. It would definitely be, there'd be, spreading out main characters way more. Not having a play set out at day one, I think was a big mistake. But I don't know if I think the takeaway is anything I would have done, personally, whether from my experience, my insight, or just plain damn luck. I don't think that it's a winning horse, if you will. I don't know if there's is there something I would have done back in 2019 that could have ensured the line continues today? Not that it was DOA, but it kind of felt like it was like sort of a 1-2 season kind of fun nostalgia thing, kind of like Ghostbusters was. Ghostbusters came back and did a cool little fun thing and then went away. Why are the Ghostbuster fans not as upset about the He-Man fans? Like, that's a perfect parallel right there. So did I kind of answer the question?
I think you did, Scott. But because, and obviously, you being who you are, you probably had to lay out an entire year's worth of planning and stuff like that. So it was a kind of on the spot question. But thank you for answering as you did. But you know what? Following up on that just a little bit, do you think that the 40th anniversary?
I have an answer.
Oh, okay, you have an answer.
Wait, stop! I just remembered. Like, I have this great I actually have a great answer to that. Because this is what I want. This is actually okay. Here's an awesome exclusive for you. This is what I actually wanted to do at Mattel to get the line to retail, was to put Motu into Imaginext at Imaginext scale, but make it slightly bigger, meaning like half an inch bigger, in the same way that Motu figures back in '82 were about half an inch bigger than like a Star Wars or G.I. Joe. It was deliberate to make the toy stand out and be a bigger action figure. The reason I would go with Imaginext is because that's the audience that plays with toys. And I would do play sets and vehicles because you can do that with Imaginext. I know they did like those 9-inch or something, like 12-inch Imaginext figures or something. I don't even know what that is. But yeah, what I really pushed for was to do a Motu Imaginext, just like they practically did Dino Riders without a name. But as hard as I pushed that, no one wanted to do it because they didn't want to see the brand de-aged. But that's exactly the thing. If you're going to sell at retail, you have to sell toys to the age that buys them, which now that's like 4-year-olds. When we were kids, it was 10-year-olds were still playing with toys. So if you accept the fact that basically toys are only played with from 3 to 7, 6, well, that's what I would make He-Man of, is I would do Imaginext. And then for the collectors, I would have continued something like Classics on the side or online, trying to sell He-Man in it's called the older boy action aisle versus Imaginext sold in the younger boy aisle. The younger boy aisle is where toy sales are, where for action figure play. The older boy aisle is where movie souvenirs are sold. So there's your answer.
Got you. Okay. Thank you again for that, Scott. All right. So we have 2 more super chats, but I did want to, and we will get to them in a second. But I did want to cover a few more things. So this past couple of weeks, a lot of drops and reveals have happened from multiple sources, and our friends over at Geek Dad Life and our friends over at Toy Habits have been very constant on breaking these leaks and rumors. Now I'm going to start with Toy Habits first, and then I'm going to circle back to Geek Dad Life. Um, where do you think that these rumors are coming from? I mean, we did see that at the press kit for Mattel earlier, like late last year, Snake Mountain was announced and was actually confirmed to be a retail release. But then it was leaked on deepdiscount.com, which is obviously you said you haven't actually seen that, but it listed a price, and I'm not sure if there's an exclusivity on that. But then on the same site, they also listed multiple figure leaks, like the ones that we see right here. Um, you know, like for instance, the Point Dread and Talon Fighter, which is a vehicle, which is very difficult to sell, as we've discussed multiple times over. Tila Snake version Tila. We found out later that it was actually a Snake version of the Palace Guards, a new King Randor, which has been teased on the backing cards, as well as another version of Man at Arms for the Origins figures. Where are these leaks coming from, in your opinion, Scott? And is there any is there any actual validity towards them, in your opinion?
I think 100%. I think all of this is, I'm sure, in the hopper, and these leaks are probably true. Whether this stuff makes it all the way to market, I would say is likely at this point, and that's why you're seeing it at deep discount. So let me kind of shed some light on what we're looking at here. So I've made quite a few videos. I've talked about how the toy making process is about 3 years in advance, maybe 2.5, 2. If you're a smaller toy company, you can get something to market in 6. I've seen it happen. But for Mattel or Hasbro, you're really going to start 3 years in advance, which means when a toy line gets delisted or canceled, or retailers, let's just say, cool off on orders, aren't interested anymore, whatever you want to call it, there's already stuff in the hopper for like a year and a half forward. So if we pulled the plug to, like, let's say, Target called, giant toy company A today and said, I'm not taking this toy line anymore, starting tomorrow. And that toy company would be like, crap, we've tooled figures and we're in production all the way through December at this point. So what probably happened, and the proof in the pudding of this, I mean, look at how many toy lines where we've seen like the final wave, and then it shows up at like Comic-Con, like Indiana Jones is a perfect example. Or there was another one. There was an Attack of the Clones 2D or 3D wave of legacy Build-A-Figure 3 3/4 figures that got pulled at the last minute when Disney bought Star Wars, and eventually that wave on those cards got released on Amazon. So all of that is the same thing. It's product that's in production that suddenly has no home. And the company's like, crap, what do we do with this? We got to get rid of this because our largest buyer, Target, Walmart, suddenly pulled out. So they immediately start calling all of the discount channels saying, are you interested in taking brand new Masters of the Universe product, high collector appeal, never before, no one else has this, no Target, no Walmart, you can have it for it's an exclusive. And deep discounts will be like, I don't care about any of that. Just tell me how cheap it is, because that's all they care about. They have their price requirements with their, really high margins, because that's what they are. They're discounters. So yeah, I'm guessing, any of these kind of leaky things you're seeing, it's exactly like what happened with the Roton in Classics. That was so far along in production that Mattel had to make it, basically, even though the bottom fell out. So yeah, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Lost Wave, Hero, the Bad Bubbler in Thundercats. I mean, all this stuff is stuff that's in production that gets shelved or has to quickly find a home if it is made.
So your overall opinion at this stage is that deepdiscount.com was actually offered this as a fallback, because the line was actually, just to clarify, the line was actually planned to go past this, but because of the exit of Target and Walmart, deepdiscount.com got first offer. Is that what you're saying?
Or at least they're the ones who took it. They may not have been given first offer. They may have brought this to many companies who said no.
I understand. Now, on that level, isn't there a aren't these timed releases? Isn't there some sort of like you know embargo before, or gag order before they actually release these? How did these things get on the site so quickly? If that was the case?
Um, because these aren't related to a movie or any kind of confidential, information.
Okay,
That's just really only an issue when you're dealing with a theatrical release or a major licensor where they don't want people to find out that, Rey gets the lightsaber.
interesting. All right. Um, well, these are and these actually did so. On that note, because obviously you've answered that portion of the question um, very succinctly. That being the case, though, these were as friends of the channel, Geek Dad Life. These all were at I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name. These were at a toy show in Germany, and have you heard of that toy show?
Um,
Spendlgart? I'm not even going to try.
one in the mist. Uh, I know about Nuremberg Toy Fair. I don't know about this one in
I
particular,
think
but
people were saying that. I believe that's actually what it is. This is the
Nur
colloquial. I think this is the name of the show in the city, but I believe it is in Nuremberg. I
yeah,
believe.
yeah. So this would be okay. Then yeah, this would be the Nuremberg Toy Fair, which is
Sure.
one of the largest toy fairs in the world. It's bigger than New York Toy Fair.
Wow.
Um, and um, yeah, I mean, again, it's like Mattel, I'm sure, brought stuff with them, to show. The reason, I think your clues are the fact that they, weren't allowed to take photos, because Mattel is probably, they know this stuff is coming out because it's been produced. They just haven't locked in which discount channel it's going to go to. So again, like all this stuff you're seeing, this is normal. Call these like the death throes of a toy line. When a toy line ends, there's always product that's in the hopper, and it just all depends on what's been tooled, how far along is it? Is it cheaper to stop production or cheaper to, you know, keep it I mean, I'm sure there's stuff on the water, that's coming over for September now. So it's like, again, yeah, they've got the stuff planned out. They didn't want this to end. No toy maker wants a toy line to end, so they wanted to keep going. And that's what you're seeing. Again, we see this all the time. Look at the Indiana Jones line. It's a perfect example. That last wave that retail backed off on because Crystal Skull sucked. Well, it went to Comic-Con. That's exactly what you're seeing.
Okay. On that note, then, Geek Dad Life was in the chat. Actually, hey, good to see you, Jay. He actually did ask one of the current I guess it's the marketing managers for Germany, Mattel, and he actually did ask her, if I believe it was her, I believe it was a she. Oh, he asked them, what's the likelihood of this coming to market, and she sort of gave him the impression that it was going to be a fall release, the line was going to continue into the fall. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing, all right, I'm not 100%, because again, it's just off the top of my head, but it seemed as if she was implying that it would go until the fall. Is this something that could be a European release only? I mean, that has happened before.
One, absolutely. Just like discount channels in the US, look at Megator and Titus and Eternia. Well, Eternia did get distributed. The dinosaurs back in '87. Director of communications. Okay. So let's put a pin in that. I'm going to circle back to that. So first, let's talk logistically. Yes, Europe is often the dumping ground for final year product. Making notes because this is going to be a good video later. So that could be true. Not that it's a European exclusive, but it's like it was the old joke when nobody but Toys R Us took a line. It was a Toys R Us exclusive, but it wasn't designed that way. But that happens so many times. And then the other thing is, honestly, the people who are the spokespersons for Nuremberg and Hong Kong, unless the show is at El Segundo or Providence, like it's at Mattel or Hasbro's headquarters, you're not always dealing with the latest information. There's sort of talking points that could be even months old. I mean, I've seen this happen. I think that if a brand manager in El Segundo told a fan site that this is going forward, that would be a lot different than a spokesperson, not even the marketing manager. It's just a spokesperson, PR, which don't work on the line. They're just handed talking points. So really, it's just like, honestly, let's all just take a step back and, talk, reality here. If there's going to be a fall line for Masters, where is it? Hasbro has revealed product all the way through early 2024. They just did a Black Series or Star Wars reveal last week where they revealed 2024 product. So we are now in February of 2023. I don't believe anything has been revealed that's not at retail now. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't know, Jay, thoughts?
No, I mean, like, again, this is the information that we want to hear, right? And so basically, it's our opinion that because in this opinion anyway, Europe is pretty much at the end of the line in terms of like being offered. I'm just paraphrasing. You can correct me anytime, Scott. But basically, Europe would be the last offer, and they would get it an exclusivity offer, because that's it's proven that they have sales over there, and it's one last chance for these planned figures to be released in a market, and possibly circle back around.
I think you might actually be looking at that almost a little bit too much of a halo with a halo on it. It's really about getting rid of the product and finding any market that will take it. And if they can send it to Europe, great. If they can send it to Canada, great. If they can sell it to a deep discount in the US, great. It's not about like rewarding Europe or making like, exclusive to Europe or something like that. No, this is, again, I keep going back to that Indiana Jones set, or, what was the other line that was sold on the Star Wars set sold on Amazon? That's what happens, or, 87 Megator and the dinosaurs.
Understood. Exactly. So completely understood. $5 super chat from Snell's World. Thank you, my friend. With Mattel rep telling Geek Dad Life that it would continue until the fall, does that mean that the line is dead after SM comes out?
Mountain.
Yeah, Snake Mountain comes out.
You're asking me a question I have absolutely no insight on.
Okay.
Well, actually, let me rewind. So I confirmed with 3 different, sources that there'd be no MOTU product available to order after April. All 3 people told me that individually without knowing the other 2. To me, as a reporter, that means that's true. I mean, that's literally the gold standard for reporting. Reporters have been duped and could be wrong. I could wind up being wrong, but I like to bring people, when information comes across my desk that I think fellow fans will be interested in, I'm happy to share it. It's not done in any emotional way other than like, hey, here's news about a brand we all love. It may not at this time, it happens to not be great news, but it's still news. That's what I've heard is the latest, that April was the last available shipping. If they're saying it's shipping in fall, maybe they're talking about Europe. Maybe it's because, again, PR people not in the US, not necessarily the best informed on collector lines. Just basically have talking points on the big stuff.
All right, this is just tongue-in-cheek enough that I'll go ahead and read it, only because there is a bit of irony here. Geechee Don says, "Forget the toy, Scott. Do you have a plan for when Prussia will attack?"
I do. So we're going to go with an all-nerf arsenal. I've got sergeants and lieutenants standing by in the upper plains by the Caspians. We're going to swoop down using a Napoleonic pincer maneuver, usually wiping out any cavalry or potential vanguard attack. And I think that's how we'll take them. I just was throwing out war terms. That probably meant nothing.
Just so that everybody, just because of Prussia is a country that no longer exists.
And I'm Prussian.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you are Prussian.
Yes, that's the.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's interesting, Scott. Thank you for letting us know. Wow, you are Prussian.
So Yes.
You know much about your heritage at all? It's just not to go on a sideline here, but
No, hold on. Let me just shut my office door real quick because I hear my daughter coming home from school, and that will
no
be
problem.
loud. So, momo. Okay. I mean, the quick version is that there were 7 brothers that came over from Russia, Prussia, like that area in the 1850s. Anyone with the last name Knightlick is directly related to me. My father's actually extensively traced all 7 brothers. I think 1 went to Israel, and 5 came to the U.S. and 1 stayed, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I mean that's
Wow.
my heritage is that area of Europe.
You know, and you know what? I know a little bit about Prussia, so wow.
I also just think it's funny because they don't exist.
All I can say is wow, just wow. And we'll leave it at that. Red Foreman, thank you again for the $5 super chat, my friend. Do you see collected lines going more to a pre-order system like Mafex and Mezco to do their lines, basically only keeping kids' lines in stores?
Yep.
Well, that's there you go.
Or movie-related lines. If there's a movie,
okay, yep,
if there's a movie, you'll get like some more collector-ish product.
totally understand.
Or there'll still be some nostalgia stuff, but
Okay.
yeah.
So we're running a little bit short on time. So let me get
over a little bit.
Okay, good. So okay, awesome.
I want to try
So
to
let me know when something happens. All right. So Scott, circling back to your latest video, what is Mattel Classics? Because I did a live stream the other day. Just what is that? I've never even heard of that. Was there a press release on this? Like like where did this come from? Like is this something that's been known for a while?
Again, I have many, many, many contacts in the toy industry, and after 3 people independently confirmed this to me, I was like, oh, hey, cool. That's going to happen then. So let's, make a video about it. I don't know anything beyond what I said in the video. It's other than it is what I believe is classic, not plus. So there's no plural. It's not versus like, Motu Classics or DCU Classics. And it's 8 in a case. They're not telling retailers the characters, and that they could be from all of Mattel IP. That's basically all I've heard. And it will include some Motu.
Really? Okay. And so will there be a press release on this, do you think? Will they actually make a big fanfare about this? Because honestly, it's been under the radar if it actually has been. Also, there has been some murmurings that Neo Classics is actually a trademark and that it could have been something related to Hot Wheels. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, I'm familiar with the Neo Classic Hot Wheels line. I believe because I worked on Hot Wheels for a few years. I imagine when Mattel's ready, they'll send out a press release or reveal the product, or it'll just show up in store like a lot of stuff does these days. I can't tell you how many toys I see for the first time on the. I'm like, oh my god, I had no idea this was even shipping.
Okay, excellent. And we're going to get to a few questions if you have time. But I did want to ask one last question on my list. With the confirmation of Sync Mountain last year's press and influence today, would additional playsets be possible at retail at all? For example, Netflix Grayskull did come to market and was actually $100 with battery power, lights and sound, and even a motorized drawbridge.
And content.
Oh, and content. I see what you're saying. Can you elaborate? Because obviously, it's easier just to get people.
Yeah, I mean, when there's a movie or a TV show, you have a better chance of getting product out. Including a playset, because that usually is used to anchor a line on the bottom shelf. A collector playset, no, not at retail.
All right, excellent stuff. So I do have a few questions to other than what's it called? What are they called? Super chat questions, because I am getting a few people who are asking some questions here. Let's see who we have here. So the first one, where was it? All right. So Lord Hoagie says, if they cancel Origins before they release Modulok, I say we get the torches and pitchforks. Who's okay? That's not actually a question. Sorry about that. But
I'm with you.
do you think Modulok will actually make it before like during this line, or will it be something of a Mattel
That's not
Mattel
Modulok.
Creations exclusive?
I'm like looking for Modulok. I know he's around here. No, there's way too much tooling there.
Really, but we've seen with now. Here's the thing, though. We have seen that Frogmonger seems to have his waist, whereas Montana has his legs. Right? Could they do something with that?
I mean, well, man, you know what? Actually, it is a pull apart line. That's true. So any of those parts would actually work. You know, I'll take that back. You're right. They could probably pull something off from a tooling standpoint. It's really then just comes down to, is there a retail interest in a Modulok figure?
Okay, Mason J's been dying to ask something. So, didn't MOTU CGI get canceled without Netflix actually canceling it?
Didn't MOTU CGI get
the toy line? The toy line.
The toy line getting dropped has nothing to do with the Netflix show being canceled. It has everything to do with it selling or lack thereof.
And there is a third season coming now.
I think so, yeah. But but the toys didn't sell, so like, you know, there won't be toys.
Yeah. So Mason, if you could elaborate on what you're trying to say, you know, it's kind of weird because we know that the CGI is having one more season, and we know that actually toys are still coming. They've just been announced as the, I think, Savage Eternia line. So not really sure where that's coming from, and I believe,
you know, maybe retailers, again, content. Maybe that's the one line retailers will take in the fall. You know, they could easily be like, for a season 3 premiere, we're going to do an end cap or something. That could happen.
Okay, Mr. Cheeseburgers, thank you again for the $5 super chat, my friend. My new Eternia He-Man pre-ordered from Target has no release date. I bought Sunman from a discount store. It never came to Target. Is this what we are now to expect?
An Eternian He-Man. What's the Eternian He-Man?
New Eternia.
Oh, like the one with the Viking.
Yeah, he's talking about Masterverse. Yes.
Yeah, like the
Viking.
Yeah, that's been out for a while. I've seen that at retail.
No, but he's saying that it had a pre-order, right, with no release date.
Oh, well, I mean, that's just Target putting it up. Maybe they have, you know, cases on order.
And is this? He's asking if this is something, and so he's asking.
I see what he's saying. He's saying if he sees it at a discounter, should he buy it and cancel his order on Target?
Maybe. I think he's asking, is the norm going to be discount stores from now on? I guess that's what he's really asking.
If this is all true, that, you know, and from what I hear from, you know, 3 different independent sources, that if the line is over, as far as Target and Walmart, you're talking discount channels, online, and international.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I already. Who's this? Okay, I'll let that go. I'm pretty sure I answered this question. I asked this question already one more time. I'm pretty sure we did. With Mattel rep telling Geek Dad Live, no, we did answer that question. Sorry, Snell, I did answer. We did ask that question earlier. Correct, Scott? We did ask it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just answer it in 2 seconds again. What we just said. Like, yes, maybe it is continuing in Europe, because Europe, discount and online. That's where toy lines go when they've been canceled by U.S. retailers.
Okay, T-Train asked, what about MYP? Does Mattel own the rights to that cartoon to make toys in that likeness? What is MYP?
The Mike Young Productions.
Oh, the Mike Young Productions, sorry.
That's the next line. Yeah. I don't remember where honestly the rights for that show wound up. You know, if they went along to Classic, to Classic Media. I mean, you know, Mattel, I think, you know, could. Well, I mean, yeah, because I know there's obviously hang-ups with Filmation. I'm not really sure. Honestly, all I know is that when I left Mattel, I was part of a team working to buy the rights back, and we had it really close with DreamWorks.
Mm-hmm.
Universal bought DreamWorks. We called them and said, hey, you know, we were like about to sign on the dotted line with DreamWorks. We'd agreed on the amount. Are we cool moving forward? And Universal said, I'm sorry, Universal doesn't sell IP. Click. So that was the last interaction I had with the He-Man rights. I don't know anything that's happened after that.
Jeff C asks, if Mattel Classics comes out, can I have a steel jaw action figure from the Big Jim line?
I honestly probably a lot better chance of that.
Way Forward says, hey Jay, not Motu, but does Scott have any insights on the Mega brand?
Like meaning the Lego stuff?
Yes.
It's run out of Canada. They fire people a lot. They don't tell people in El Segundo when they fire the people in Canada.
Oh man.
That's about all I know. Every time we think we're like, hey, I need to talk to Mega. Oh yeah, he doesn't work here anymore.
Charlie Weaver, then why haven't they registered for the trademark?
Why isn't who registered for what trademark?
I guess they're asking. I guess he's asking for. Actually, yeah, Charlie. Sorry, that's kind of vague. I'm gonna imagine he's asking about Mattel Classics, or something along those lines. But Charlie, if I see another one of your follow up,
okay, hold on. Probably because you don't need to copyright the word Mattel Classics because you already own the registration for Mattel, and you could put any word after Mattel you damn want. You don't need to copyright Mattel Classics. You already own Mattel. You could call it Mattel Vintage, Mattel Blue, Mattel, Rock, Mattel, Giant Structure. Like you can put any word after a registered trademark.
Actually, Retro UK seems to believe somewhat the following. I find it interesting how Mattel is using the name Classics again. Very interesting. Kenny O, why won't Mattel come out and explain the situation? Right now, everything is based on pure speculation. It can't help them when there's so much uncertainty about the line continuing.
This basically comes down to the misperception that adult collectors have on our importance in the toy industry and at retail. Let's say you have 1,000 pennies that you're in charge of. Adult collectors represent one of those. Is that where you spend your resources? Or do you spend your resources selling Barbie, Hot Wheels, and Fisher-Price? There's your answer.
James Howlett says, Scott, could Motu be doing a change of SKU for the new Netflix season, and the new products appear as different lines rather than it ending?
Yeah, no, that's possible, and it could be done as like a seasonal thing where they know, okay, we know this brand like can't last year on year, but we have new content coming out. You notice how much time I've spent talking about how content gets stuff to shelf. So yeah, they could say, hey, Target, yeah, we have a third season coming out. We know this isn't, this is a seasonal brand, is what they would call it. So for this content season, let's do an end cap. And Target could be like, great, yeah, that makes sense because when there's a new season, the toys do sell. So yeah, we'll do a seasonal thing.
Old IT guy, thank you for the $7 super chat. Hey Scott, thanks for getting me back into collecting with the great Mattel Collector GB Ghostbusters line. It was a wonderful line.
Well, you're welcome. I was so proud of all of that work, and the team getting to work with those people has just been a highlight of my career.
The Warrior, is Scott planning on visiting the new Mattel theme park when it opens?
If I happen to be there, I don't know if I'd make a trip. Depends. I'm pretty happy in North Carolina.
Mason J, so Universal owns the Motu IP, but now Scott isn't sure.
Like I said, the last contact I had touching Mattel, handling this issue, was having Universal tell us that they don't sell their policies. They don't sell IP after spending 8 months negotiating with DreamWorks to buy it back. After that, I don't know what happened. Anything could happen. Maybe Universal did sell it.
All right. Comic Enforcer says Master Universe is a registered trademark of Mattel. Look it up. It's not Universal.
Yes, that's right. The toy trademark is registered to Mattel. Absolutely. Just like Batman, or when Mattel was making Batman toys, the Batman trademark for action figures was registered to Mattel. Now it's registered to Spin Master and McFarlane.
Carlos asks, question for Scott. During your time at Mattel, was the idea for a Motu 5.5 scale figure line ever kicked around? Thanks.
Whoa, something just fell. Briefly, but I can tell you for when we were doing classics, the idea was to honestly produce as few Motu lines as possible because we wanted to channel all of fan interest into one line. And then the idea was classics was going to transition into the Filmation style, which could have transitioned then into a 5.5 a few years later. We looked at sort of each line as having a sort of 5-year lifespan and then introducing a new form factor. So in the long run, yes, but not in anything in the immediate.
Quickly, JG, thank you for the $1 super sticker. Really, really appreciate that. We had another question here. I just saw it. Ah, crap. Colin asks, were the classics, the ones that you worked on, Scott, male/female, etc., produced in different numbers? What were the numbers? I think this is in reference to the idea that female figures don't sell as well as male figures.
So basically, the way the line worked is whatever the subscription covered the minimum, the MOQ, or at least the MOQ at the premium price point we were paying. We didn't want to drop down to even lower MOQ because then the price would have gone up even more. So the subscribers covered that. And then based on who the character was, we would produce an additional quota for day of sales. I can tell you it wasn't about male, female as much as it was that, the 82 figures and the characters that were in the Filmation series sold the best. Villain sold pretty good. The POP, there's a big drop off between a He-Man toy and any She-Ra character outside of She-Ra. And then there was an even bigger drop off from She-Ra to New Adventures. And we would basically go from there.
I am Kosh says, I got back into Motu because of Scott's videos. Never thought I'd be hearing about it, about its end from the person who brought me back. Hashtag irony.
Well, I mean, again, I don't think it's over. There's still going to be Motu in the world. I just think that all we're talking about is the fact that it's not going to be a Target and Walmart. Like that's not, the end of the world. It just means that at this time, Walmart and Target aren't ordering it. I guess they're still, it sounds like they're going to be including in Mattel Classic. So there's still going to be Motu coming.
The real one says, Scott, you've done an amazing job with Mattel. Thank you so much for your time there.
Well, you're very welcome. And like I said, I feel so honored for what I got to do. I mean, the people and the brands I worked on. I probably have time for like 3 more questions, and then I'm going to have to head downstairs.
All right, perfect. So let me just, all right. People ask me, about these all the time, but you know what? Again, you don't have to answer this one, Scott, but I mean, it's here. Who cares? Bad Fan 1, Scott, please clarify, were you laid off or did you leave Mattel?
I left Mattel. I voluntarily walked in and handed my badge to Doug Wadley and walked out the door.
Okay.
Well, again, let me give like the proof in the pudding. A week later, I started at Jack's. Like people know that when you get like laid off or fired, it's really hard to find another job. Like you don't find a job in a week, right? So the reason I left Mattel is because I'd already accepted the position with Jack's. Like, does everyone kind of get that timeline?
Yep. That makes sense. Mason J, again, thank you for asking the hard questions. Thank you for the $2 super chat, my friend. Again, we're all just trying to be civil here, and I do appreciate your civility for today. Thank you so much for that. All right, we're going to do 2 last questions, and then Scott really has to go. So I'm going to find something interesting. Here we go. Omisoka says, isn't this going on with every single toy line at Target and Walmart? Marvel, DC, WWE, Star Wars, they are all peg warmers. Do they also have the possibility of getting canceled at any time as well?
Well, ask yourself this question. Does Marvel, DC, WWE, and Star Wars have content?
The answer is yes, of course. All right, Mason, here we go. Scott, please provide the actual documentation that proves that Mattel sold the IP to Universal. Again, Scott, this one's up to you.
I don't have it. I mean, I had 3 independent sources verbally tell me this, who had no knowledge of the other 2 sources telling me this. So I don't understand how, this is actually a great end note, because I actually have, so everyone should tune into Spector Creative on Friday. I have a video about this, about the way larger issues, and I'm going to just soapbox for like literally no more than 30 seconds here. But in modern society, what's going on with the fourth estate, with the press, is horrific. The press and the concept of the fourth estate, meaning they regulated and they kept watch over, the government, that doesn't exist anymore, because in the 24-hour news media world, we have the combination of fake news, poor reporting, and entertainment as news, where whatever's sexiest or bleeding is put on the news, not what's most important. Look at the difference between Walter Cronkite reporting and what we have today. Because of how much of this, the fact that we don't live in a society where we have news doesn't exist anymore. The way the Walter Cronkite version of news, the way it was, the fourth estate is supposed to work in society. We don't have that societal check. And so because of that, so many people now don't understand the concept of independent sources and verification of information. And that's what's used for reporting. They're so used to like the CSI effect where, there's direct DNA right there and, I can spot it. And that's how that's not the way the world works. There's not always a giant arrow pointing to something. But when you do have multiple sources independently confirm information, that's traditional textbook Pulitzer Prize investigative reporter tactics. So for people saying like, oh, well, if you don't have, the DNA, if you don't have the actual memo, I don't believe you. That's fine. But I think you need to take a step back and learn a bit about more how the third estate works and how reporting in the press works, because that's really important to society. And that's the loss of that is the biggest problem, I think, going on today. And I think that bleeds over directly into adult collecting when you look at the reaction people have when they say, I don't believe you unless I see the body. And that's not the way the world works. There's usually not a body. But if there's 3 people who saw the dead body independently, there probably was a dead body. So there you go. Off my soapbox.
All right. Well, you know what, Scott? I know you have to go. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining us today. Guys, as always, we do love this property. And, Scott has been in the thick of it for the longest time. I know people have given me a bit of flack for, always saying that we need to, respect Scott's, insight on those things. But the truth is we do. He's been there. He's actually been part of the brand. And he's here and has been answering some tough questions today. So once again, Scott, thank you so much for your time. I hope you will, consider joining us again at another time if it's appropriate.
Oh, I'm always delighted. Yeah, anytime I can. I'm always,
excellent.
Like I said, I've always loved talking toys.
One second. And Scott, if you want to just to let everybody know where they can find you and a little bit, and maybe just a tad of information about your next video, that'd be great.
Oh, sure. Yes. So I am on spectorcreative.com, or you should definitely check out the YouTube channel, Spector Creative, where I post about 4 or 5 times a week videos about the toy industry, sometimes relating to retail, sometimes relating to books and history, all sorts of fun stuff. The next video I have, so Friday's video is actually going to be about what I just ranted about the lack of a fourth estate and how that's now affecting the way collectors interpret information, and in particular, the way we pretend we don't know things sometimes when we do to please a toy company, shall we say. It'll be an interesting watch. So check it out on Friday.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott, for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it. Once again, guys, Scott Toy Guru Nightlick, everybody. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, guys. A pleasure. And I guess I will see you guys in the toy aisles, or the retail, or the lack thereof.
Have a good day, Scott. Thanks for everything. Well, guys, that was Scott, Toy Guru Nightlick. And I want to thank all the mods for helping me tonight. I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer. Very interesting. Toy Connection is going to say after show, Mega J. I'm just going to keep going. If everyone wants to stick around and we talk a little bit about this. Scott was very insightful, and what the heck. All right, well, you know what, out of the blue, here comes a surprise guest. Ramen Toy is joining us right now. Ram, how are you today, my friend? Toy Connection is asking about an after show, so I guess this is the after show. How are you today? It's early in the morning for you. What time is it over there?
5:18 a.m.
Oh my God! What are you doing up so early in the morning?
I've been doing some mock-ups on the Machina Great White. So
I can see the bags under your eyes.
Yeah,
Ace. Man, you've been working
busy.
hard. Hey, just out of curiosity, do you have anything to show us Motu related by any stretch of the imagination? I don't know if
Well, I've already showed it in today's Facebook
sure,
updates.
but this is
Yeah,
you know,
so
it's a captive audience. Why not
yeah,
show something
it's
else?
not with me now. It's at the
Oh,
factory.
that's too bad.
Yeah,
That's okay.
so
That's okay.
yeah,
Maybe I'll bring something up a little later.
sure.
So Ace, you have some insight into the toy industry. What did you think about Scott's interview today? And yeah, what did you think?
um, well, I think that it was a conversation between yourself and Scott, and he shared obviously his opinions on some of the questions that were asked, by the audience. And apart from that, there's not much opinions from me on that aspect. I still maintain that there is certain aspects of news and information that everybody has. Obviously, Scott has his information, and we have seen information from the Nuremberg Toy Fair. We have seen existing information in terms of the massive sales of Motu products on the big box retail. And to me, I have the same feeling that I would not be surprised if the big box retail drops the Motu line because of the fact that they are on clearance, as we saw. Now, whether or not how these new products that Mattel is going to be rolling out, like the Snake Mountain, like the Point Dread, and all these figures, and even the modular body on Frogmonger, how that happens is totally not. I have no idea because that will be Mattel's own planning, and we just hope to listen and get information from Mattel as and when it comes available.
I'm sorry, all of a sudden my camera. Yeah, I'm still getting used to all this new stuff. Honestly, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to catch up, and we're so in love with this property that I think everyone does not want to see it go. He does bring up some good points, though. I mean, like the idea that certain toy lines just don't make it to market for one reason or another. I mean, that has happened. I mean, it is true. You yourself have experienced a toy line that just couldn't make its minimum funding, so you had to pull a toy line, right? So,
Yeah.
what would happen if you had actually committed to that, and what would the fallout have been?
Well, if we had committed to certain projects that did not meet its minimum requirement, then it's quite obvious that funds will be depleted. So instead of having funds, resources that is obviously always limited, had we not placed them in more profitable projects, then that's the main detrimental effect, because we all have projects lined up. There's many projects that everybody loves, but which are the ones, as pointed out in your stream with Scott, which are the ones that has content, which are the ones that more people are after? So those are the projects, the more profitable projects that any company would want to invest more resources into. But of course, we are here trying to fill those gaps. And Ramen, a small fledgling brand, is trying to do certain things that the collectors have been missing through this time. But we learn it firsthand that those things that were not produced before, there's a reason for it. There's just not enough demand for those things. So yeah, we learn as we go.
Yeah, there were many insights that Scott can share with us, and but on that note, Ace, what are your thoughts about these leaks? Like, obviously Jay over Geek Dead Life saw them firsthand, right? So because they were already produced, and Jay did mention at a certain point that he felt because he was able to pick up the Point Dread, he said it was production ready, right? If it's that far along, does that pretty much guarantee that it's going to be released?
Well, so that's the thing about these kind of conventions, which is for trade shows only, is for trade. Uh, you can't even get into the Mattel booth without an appointment. That's for sure. My guy, I have acquaintance who was there, and I tried asking him, hey, help me to go to Mattel to get an acquaintance on licensing. He wasn't allowed into the door because he had not had a prior appointment with any rep from Mattel. So that goes to show you the kind of entry level, if you may, right, to get into even a trade show that is meant for people who are there, who are supposed to just walk in and have a look. But no, it's still on an invitation basis, on a appointment basis. So on that note, it could be the fact that some things are maybe for prototyping or even for showing in the showroom to people who might want to be interested to buy. And if there is no demand, just like how some of my projects are, it might be given a second thought, a second consideration, whether or not it should be made into production. And that is quite a possibility. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's for me, I'm very much hopeful that that this is, what Jay saw is definitely going to come to market. And you know what? We have no we have no indication otherwise that it won't, because as it was mentioned by Jay, not only was it firsthand, exactly, and of course naming the sources. Thank you, Jay. Because Jay even mentioned a name, the actual the actual director of communications in Germany, right? If she is not an authority in saying something, right, who is? I mean, she said it was going to go until the fall, and that gives me a lot of hope.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to counter somebody who is a Mattel rep telling Jay stuff, but all I can say is, based on my experience, there is country managers, right? So each country manager does not know what the other country manager is doing, not necessarily, right? They might not know. Most of the time, they won't know. So for example, when I was at the licensing expo in Las Vegas, when I was trying to speak to licensing representatives, they would tell me, where are you from? Where are you licensing in? Oh, you want to do it in Asia? Oh, please talk to this person in Asia. There's nobody here who will handle your case. So in that respect, in Nuremberg, the fact that the Mattel rep handles that particular continent, and again, as we all know, why are certain waves not making it to certain countries when Mattel is supposed to be a global brand? Again, we zoom into those particular country managers, whether or not in that region this product is selling well. If it is not selling well, the purchasing manager would not put in the PO to get those products in, and that's just simple business. So yeah, I mean, definitely she have told Jay what she knew, but it does not necessarily translate to what the whole big picture is for the line, for the distribution. That's what I'm saying, if it makes sense.
Makes sense to me, for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? The overall discussion, Ace. What are your takeaways from this? Like, what? Is this
Actually, I didn't really take away too much, to be honest. I mean, if I was doing the interview, again, with all due respect, my friend, I would just dwell into the main points. Hey, Scott, is this an April Fool's joke? If it clarifies no, okay, then we can check that off the list. And then is it based on? I mean, we're asking the questions directly. So, what are the sources that you have that tells you that there will be no MOTU on retail come April? And then dive into those questions to get the answers. But it was more of a conversation, and then certain other questions came into play, and then it was sort of sidetracked away, in my opinion. And I just thought I didn't receive too much in terms of what the questions, the speculation, right? Ending speculation. That's all. So, but it was a good conversation, of course.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we did eventually get to that one question
Yeah.
of where are his sources, and the answer was
Right.
he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Right? Not that he doesn't have any. Sorry, he doesn't have the proof. Right? Because he says that he has three independent sources, and they all told him something which is very similar each and every time.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's
again, I'm sure Scott's sources are sources, and again, this whole thing about privacy. I mean, it's actually almost secretive, right? You don't release information, especially from big companies, to the public when it's not supposed to be released, and that's just the main thing. Nobody will. I mean, it's just so sensitive, right? It's, for example, even in sports, right? Before a player is sold to another club, you don't release any information. If you do it, it's detrimental, because if the sale is not made in the end, then what happened to all those speculation? So likewise here, there could be plans in place, and just through coffee shop talk, it's uh, spoken about to friends, to Scott, and then that could be his sources, and then he's just relating what he heard, in a candid manner, in a very open manner to his audience, which has nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? He did not say that this is a fact. I don't think so. I think he's just suggesting some stuff, and yeah, we look at it, and then we wait for the day to come to get the final answer on actually what's going on. That's what it is.
it's interesting. At the end of the day, everyone's saying what they what they're hoping for. Scott is though, and we do have to. What do you think about this though, Ace? I mean, he is saying a hard truth right now. They have cleared in Target and Walmart mostly all of Motu, right? So the reality is he might be correct in terms of big box retail. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that one?
and that was also my thoughts from the start when we had a live stream to talk about this, right? I see the clearance at the Walmarts, even though I'm not at Walmart, I'm not based in the US, but when I see pictures being posted in Facebook groups from the Mattel, from the Master of the Universe fan groups and pages, they are showing these discounts and as much as 70% off. So, which other toy line has such massive clearance? I don't know. Maybe there are certain other toy lines that has the same effect, but we're seeing it very clearly from the Motu line. And some countries that don't get the waves, it all tells me, right, that there is a pressure. There's a pressure. Even Castle Grayskull was being discounted, and it's still available on the Mattel Creations website. You can still buy Castle Grayskull, right? And even in China, where I am now, the internet sellers that used that from early 2020, I didn't see Castle Grayskull, but now I'm seeing it available. So it tells you that there is stock in abundance, and there is a reason for clearing it. And that could well be the catalyst that would ensure that there is no more, such huge numbers of stock at retail. Again, how Mattel would play it, how they would manage their production quantities and distribution is totally Mattel's strategy, which I have no idea.
Karen Chopra is asking, "Hey Ace, any insights on when the new commanders will be available for pre-order, and
Okay.
will the bad guys of the line be up again for pre-order anytime soon? Loving ramen toy stuff these days, top notch."
Thanks, Karen. Is Karen or Kieran? Karen, right? So
I think
yeah,
it's Karen, yeah.
the commanders would be available for pre-orders soon, and the antagonist cyborg, unfortunately, there was a bit of a system glitch. We were sold out on the early bird price. I'm getting my guys to fix that and then list up the regular price cyborg on the site as soon as possible. So yeah, we actually sold out on the early bird price, but we still have stock, and then that should go back up really soon. And the new commanders will be up, I guess, either end of this month. Yeah, we'll have all the packaging renders up to place onto the product page, and then you can make the pre-orders. Yeah.
Super C Low says, "Hey Jay, listening to Scott speculate on MOTU brand is great, but why not have a Q&A with someone from Mattel who directly involved with the MOTU brand right now?" Honestly, I'd love to do that. Unfortunately,
I don't think any Mattel rep would be open to a live stream with a channel to talk about stuff that would jeopardize their position.
there you go. Ace took the words right out of my mouth. Adam actually concurs. Mattel distribution, I never think I'll get it. It must be dumb because the way I'm seeing it, they are leaving a lot of money on our in our wallets. In a way, I appreciate that actually. But I see what you're saying. I see where you're coming from, Adam. Let's see here. Okay, so Sir Clifton says, my big local retail wiped out all the MOTU from the face of the area. He's telling you some truth. He even mentioned his area retail ending as well. I have to choose online or drive 3 cities mic drop. Again, this is just a continuing ongoing problem that's happening right now. But Ace, you deal with a lot of direct sales. Has it worked out for you? Like what has been the what has been the experience in your opinion?
Well, Jay, again, we are a very small setup. We rely basically on B2C, which is why our Facebook is important for us. That's where the customers come and see the product, and then the website is there for them to then transit into the website to make the purchase. So we are very much a B2C setup. We rely solely on the fan base support to get the products to meet the MOQ. And most of the time, we only just do the MOQ, which I've repeated many times, that is about 1,000 units run of one particular SKU. Obviously, we have other brands that is doing much better, as we have seen. Some, Kickstarter, and then, the brands. So yeah, we're hoping that through the years that we are developing, we will expand this customer base and get into some other licensing opportunities so that these products that we make can go onto the bigger retailers like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. They would take licensed products, and then from there we can grow. That's the dream, to grow bigger, but not necessarily to the extent that we lose the sight of the goal, which is to do the things that we love. Because when you get too big, then you're pressured to deliver products, even though it might not be something that you are passionate to do. If you're doing it just for the sake of doing it to get the products out, to meet or feed the monster that you have created, right? If the company grows big and it needs funds, it needs revenue, then you just start churning out stuff, and that's exactly what you see in Nuremberg from toy companies. You have so many types of toys that the employees of the company have to crack their brains every semester to come up to the board and say, hey, this is the new product, this is what it does, this is the play value. You got to crack your head. And kudos to the people who can make a revolutionary and innovative product to deliver to the market. Otherwise, from our perspective, we're just doing very simple, stuff that is more attuned to getting the accuracy of the sculpt and getting something that was part of your nostalgic childhood into your display. That's what we're doing.
Highly Articulated says, I respect Scott's history, and in some of his videos that share insight on the toy industry are great, but he seems to be speculating on things that he has no more insight on than most of us do. I mean, that's probably true. I mean, he's no longer in the boardrooms. He's not, but
there was one part about what Scott mentioned that I tried to want to counter. Again, with all due respect, I'm not trying to say that he's totally wrong. I could be wrong, right? But when he mentioned that the trademark of Masters of the Universe belongs to Mattel, just like how the trademark of Batman would belong to Spin Master. I don't think that is correct. What he should mean is that the licensing of Batman belongs to Spin Master, because during the time of duration when Spin Master is licensing Batman, obviously from Warner Brothers, so Spin Master is allowed to do Batman because of the licensing agreement, not because Spin Master would own the trademark. No, I don't think so. How could Spin Master own the trademark of Batman when Warner Brothers own the trademark of Batman? So I think maybe he misspoke. Again, I could be wrong myself, but that at least was what stood out to me when he mentioned about that. So coming back to that, then therefore Masters of the Universe, the trademark, if it belongs to Mattel, it will belong to Mattel for as long as Mattel holds the trademark. Well, why a company or an entity would sell the trademark, I'm not sure. But of course, once it's sold, then that entity can't say that the trademark is mine because I've already sold it. Now the trademark belongs to somebody else. So that's my take. That's what I picked up from Scott about the trademark thing that I thought was a bit missed. Yeah.
There were so many things which were talked about today, but we did get some answers. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth, and honestly, we there were some hard questions asked, and I'm glad Scott even came on board, because he really didn't have to. Javier Rito, too much He-Man and Skeletor. Motu needs to focus on other characters and not buying multiple versions of He-Man and Skeletor. There are others to get out there. Mattel needs to understand that. Is that a case of repaints because they need to make money, Ace? Like why all these re-releases of figures that have already been released?
I'm not too sure if they are actually re-releases or if they are just order fulfillment. Right? We know that we had the pandemic, we had issues with supply from China, and waves making it. So again, if they made an order for He-Man, and if that sold out, if they wanted to order it again, that means that there was a demand for this He-Man and Skeletor, which obviously is quite true because they are the main characters. You don't want the He-Man and Skeletor to be sold out and then left with other characters. So there could be a reorder of the main characters that sold out. Apparently, maybe that reorder is maybe too much overconfidence, and then that reorder became the surplus that the market could not absorb. That means the market has, again, in my opinion as well, MOTU is basically for us kids of the 80s that know exactly what this particular origins is about. Kids nowadays have no idea what is MOTU Origins except for the new He-Man cartoon that's on Netflix. So that particular range catered only to the adult collectors. Now, with that first wave of He-Man and Skeletor selling out, again, I'm just speculating that there could be a reorder for those figures that comes back on, or it could have been, a part of that particular initial purchase order from Mattel that we need to do more He-Man, and then these are just stock. They just arrived after those containers that were held up at sea finally docked at the shipyard. Who knows?
Jay's hanging at hardly articulated. It was a ton of speculation. I'm pretty sure I know one of his sources, and I wouldn't put stock on what he says whatsoever. Well, there you go. Happy to come on and give a counterpoint for a bit, Jay. All right, you know what? I thought I sent you, Jay. If you're available, let's do it. I think I sent you the link. If you want to jump on. By all means, if the link's not working, let me know. But I believe I did send it to you. Anyway, I sent it again. So if you're still around, Jay, please jump on. We would love to have you. Because again, it was an interesting conversation. You know,
I was jealous that Jay went to Nuremberg.
I try my best to be civil on all these things, and you know, I gave him ample opportunity. I did ask some harder questions, and to his credit, he did answer many of the things that that people wanted to know. Guys, please welcome Geek Dad Life's very own Jay. What's going on? The two J's?
Wow,
it's
Jay.
a Noel
Hi.
it's a Noel sandwich.
Hey, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Jay.
And Mega J, fantastic job. Unenviable position to try and you know, manage chats and ask tough questions, but also, you know, you brought this person on, so you want to be respectful to a guest that you bring on. And it's having done some crazy things like that myself, a really tough job. So I just wanted to say, you know, regardless of what it was, thanks, Mega J, for doing that.
You know what? I'm happy that Scott you know, took the time. It was gracious enough to even come on board. But Jay, you have come here to say something, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Take it away, Mr. Geek Dad Life.
Well, one, I got back from Nuremberg, and I got COVID.
No.
Didn't get any pictures of those figures, but I did get COVID. So if I sound a little nasally or coffee, that's what's going on there. But that's neither here nor there. The important thing, I think, is there's a couple of the things that didn't sit right with me in terms of the conversation. Was, you know, kind of talking about, you know, true journalism, the Walter Cronkite of the world, or Walter Cronkites of the world, and not being able to name his sources. But I think any good journalist worth their salt, if it's an anonymous source, which is that happens, usually they'll dig to get more concrete evidence as part of their overall story. You know, if you look at the Watergate scandal, like actually, you know, it was this, they took time. They had anonymous sources, then they got real sources. Like true journalism, if you're going to cite it as such, you know, usually you want to actually, you know, get more than just anonymous sources that you don't want to tip. And I said it in the chat, and, you know, maybe John and I will try and talk about it in After Dark or something, not in a fully public setting. But we deduced who one of his resources or sources are. And it's a source that I've mentioned as well on our channel. And no disrespect to that individual, but that person's been talking about delisted lines on MOTU Origins for 2 years now. Because they delist every wave of MOTU Origins eventually. It's not a in perpetuity line. And, you know, the other part of it too that I kind of took, I don't want to say umbrage, I'm not that upset or anything. He's free to his opinion. Is, you know, wasn't comfortable naming the sources. Whereas for myself, and, you know, Ace is totally right. It was like a walled city. They told me to F off like multiple days in a row. And I had to pull all of these different, you know, resources together to get invited in to the Mattel booth. And even then, and pulled a lot of favors, and under the pretense that I would be able to take pictures, and even then still wasn't able to take pictures. But being able to name the director of communications, and the fact that the product was ready, and that, you know, the majority of that stuff is spring release, some of it like the Snake Mountains fall release. But yeah, just that was kind of the main points. Anything else? Did I miss anything else?
I don't think so. I think well, I mean, there was so many things that we talked about. He did mention, well, you know what, here's a good one. What was it about? What did you think about his implication that Germany is actually the last in the line? Europe is the last in the line for for product launches. I mean,
well,
like,
you know, I will say, you know, in that conversation with Anne, there was a few times where I hate it when I'm like solo screens. I want to be able to see you guys.
oh, sorry.
Great.
But she did say, she's like, well, you know, you probably want to ask your American friends about that. They're gonna know more than me, you know. And so, you know, sure, depending on what the line is, and for Masters, and she even said, the people that all the design team, the like pretty much everybody that works on masters is US based. There's nobody in Germany. So, you know, in terms of like, you know, fact versus fiction, that's 100% true. But I think the parts that felt, you know, not in or weren't the best represented is that Nuremberg is the last, or doesn't matter or anything like that. I mean, Ace, you've been there. We talked about it. It is the most insane toy show I've ever been to in my life. Like
the biggest on the planet.
Look, and I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, which I always thought was the biggest convention. No, this thing is like twice the size of San Diego Comic-Con.
And it's just industry only. There's not anybody.
No.
Like you were not just a Joe Blow. You were actually press.
Yeah. I got invited by Spielwarenmesse, and that's how you pronounce it, Jay.
Okay. I'm so terrible at names.
It took me so many times. Like I literally, the person that invited me, who that's a fan of you know, all of these toy tuber channels, including yours, Mega J. I just sat with him. I was like, all right, Spielwarenmesse.
And messe means convention.
Yes, exactly. And Spielwaren is toy. So it's just it's toy
convention.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, it's just German for toy.
And Nuremberg is because it was the first place of making toys.
Yeah,
that's why Nuremberg.
Is that right? Wow,
it's called the Toy City. Playmobil has a headquarters is like not too far from there. And Lego had they have a actual space in that convention center that's year round. So they'll bring in industry people to show off new Lego sets. You know, in that building. But it's crazy. But anyway, so I felt it wasn't very fair to discount the fact that, you know, these people, even though they're not, you know, the American team, they still are having it there to showcase to industry people throughout the world. There was toy retailers from the US checking out product at this fair. So it's not just for the European.
That's the whole idea. Yeah.
Right, Ace? Like, again, if you say, like, it's all over the world was at this place.
Yep.
The thing that got me, and again, I'm not far be it from me to not question everything, but I did have to, you know, measure myself a little bit. I mean, like he is a guest, and I made very big mention to everybody to keep it civil. And you know what? To everyone's credit, the chat was pretty calm. Like I didn't see anybody throwing around any mud. It was actually very. Thank you guys for that. Really do appreciate that. But I want to really thank the mods. I mean, everybody who really did keep it you know, together. Thank you guys for stepping up and really helping me, because honestly I didn't know what I was going to do here today, because I knew something was going to happen, but it was all really a lot of fun. The thing that got me is you know, the idea of Mattel Classics, that kind of took me for a sideline. I mean, I haven't heard anything at all about this. Jay, have you heard anything about this at all?
I heard something about like rebranding Motu Origins into maybe like something Motu Classics or Classic or something like that. I think it was John's thought. But the thing that I think Charlie Weaver plussed in, even though sure they don't need to trademark it, but damn, they'll do muscle, they'll do stuff all the time that they own copyright to, just to kind of refresh the trademark or different names and combinations of names. It's public information. You can go, you know, look at it. You know, they also Mattel trademarked Kidult, Kiddu.
Oh my God, no way! Are you serious?
But this is public information. You can just go look this up. So to me, again, that was like I don't want to say disingenuous to say like, oh well, Mattel doesn't have to do that, but Mattel, they're a big capital C corporation, and they trademark every damn name under the sun.
That's crazy. But again, through my research and through the research of good friends of the channel, Toy Habits, they did trademark what's called Neo Classics. But upon closer inspection, I also found out that Neo Classics was actually somewhat connected to Hot Wheels. So I'm wondering if Scott might have been, you know, somewhat misinformed there by someone, because you know, second, third hand, you know, fourth hand.
But I think what a lot of people get frustrated with. And the thing is, I think, you know, there's a lot of good contributions that Scott has made to the Motu world. But I think where people get frustrated now is he's been so removed for so long that have people like Ace here who are currently making toys. And again, you're not a big Mattel corporation, but you're still in it,
Yeah.
And the things that you're saying here, Ace, are 100% true.
Thank you.
Versus Scott, which I think it's a bit irresponsible to put out what you're calling journalistic articles, but without any based on speculation or hearsay or anonymous sources, which you can do, but you can't put as much stock in it because it's anonymous and you didn't get any verifiable resources to back it up. And the thing is, when that video came out, Scott has still friends or people contacts at Mattel. He still has contacts with people that are in high places. And I know for a fact he didn't reach out to any of those people to verify these other conversations.
Really?
Yeah. So to me, that again, it's just irresponsible journalism when you can go ask even more verifiable resources to verify what these anonymous sources are saying, right?
Good point, Jay.
Wow,
Good
that I was not aware of that at all. That's great insights on that, Jay. Thank you for sharing that.
What happened was all of us, all of us toy tubers or whatever, people that maybe know somebody or knows whatever, we all went to our phones like, holy crap, did you see this video? Is this true? Like, what's going on? Like that's what happens. And it's this telephone game, and you're trying to get all these information. And I my sources wish not to be named, so I'm not going to name them. So again, you can put as much stock as you want in this situation, but they, said like, no, it's not true, right? But even publicly, like Pixel Dan said, it's not true. But the thing is, out of any of this, April's going to be here in 2 months or whatever.
Yeah.
But I agree, Ace. We should have pinned him down and be like, "Is this an April Fool's joke?"
Yeah,
Damn, it sure smells like it.
There's the thing, though. Is it like he seems so serious? You know what I mean? Like I'm. Did it come off as if? Okay, so here's the other thing. Not to dwell on this, but honestly, the Prussia's like I think all of us were like sidelined with Prussia. Like it just made no sense. And now with the added information that he's a descendant of the Prussian people, then it makes a lot more sense. And I think that a lot of us would have appreciated that. It was just that video was just so odd. Jay, when you saw that video, what the heck were you thinking on that?
I was like, this is weird. What the hell is going on? So, but again, it's stuff like that that then makes it hard to take him seriously in that instance, right? Whereas his breakdowns on Motu Classics figures when he was the brand manager, like his director's commentaries are great. Like when he actually digs in and talks about all like the background stuff, I think those videos are great. And then I think what's going to happen if he continues to do these other type of like speculation videos without doing the kind of journalistic steps to make it more credible, I don't think it's the little boy who cried wolf. And I think that you're going to get diminishing returns the more often he does that.
A lot of people are saying that he's doing this for clicks. I think to a certain degree he probably is. There are people in the chat right now.
Again, a question that you have asked on live, Scott, are you doing this for clicks?
Yeah, but you might as well ask me if I'm doing it for clicks. And you know what?
We all are.
We all are.
Yes.
Yeah, we all
the
are.
answer is yes. I
Yes.
wasn't going to shy away from that, right? The
Absolutely.
yes.
And I think that's where it's like, anybody that takes the time to make a video and post it on YouTube does not do it all. I mean, not saying that we're being disingenuous or something, but we do it to share in the joy and stuff with other people so they are part. We don't want to do it and nobody watches it,
Again, it's all these guys who are talking and they just see these things because it's a knee-jerk reaction kind of situation. So I totally understand why people would think that, but at the end of the day, it's just one of these things. I really do appreciate that Scott actually showed up. Like honestly, he could have easily said no. Go, I have no reason to. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to answer any of these questions. But the man, to his credit, he came here. He did answer some tough questions. Right at the end of the day, and you know what, that has to be acknowledged at a certain level. Rudders Primal, good to see you again, my friend. Hey everybody, what really bugged me about this is that Scott initially said in his video that he says he knows when they are lying to him. You know what, Rodimus, you're obviously you are welcome to join us if you'd like. Just let me know on Instagram. Always happy to see you, my friends. What did you guys think about, like, Scott's overall position is that he's an authority, and to a certain degree he is, in terms of like where he was, but now, what is it, like 10 years? It's getting close to 10 years removed right now, right?
Well, I'm not sure if the authority is a term you want to be associated with.
Yes.
You want to be a bit more humble and say,
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Sure.
Agreed, Ace. I think that's the problem. And then it's using that from a place of saying, and this is the truth. I am your source of truth. I will chisel these stone tablets and hand them down to you, and that is your truth. But even in your video with him today, Mega J, him basically saying he doesn't know about the rights with Classics Media. It's just the last time he was a part of it, which again was over a decade ago. They told him to kick rocks, right? And the thing is, the fact that Masters or Mattel owns the Masters of the Universe copyright is absolutely true. It's the whole Filmation thing that's a little wonky, and certain looks for She-Ra and stuff like that does there are like shared things, and they can't really, but they can make any Motu character they want because they own the copyright to Masters of the Universe, right, Ace?
Yeah, that's what I think as well. That's what I believe as well.
And that's what I've been told, like by more direct sources. So but then that was a series of videos talking about how the line's going to end in so and so date. But in this video, he confirmed that his verification of that was 10 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's for me, the biggest problem, and I think it's the same thing with Rodimus Bramwell and many of us here. The finalistic nature of his terminologies are really what bugs a lot of people. Maybe I misspoke in saying that he said that the line is dead, but I believe he did say the line is ending. I believe he did say that, right?
At retail.
Yeah, at retail.
Yeah,
and that's a very specific statement. That really is, right? And given the information that we have now, given the information we have now, right, with Jay going all the way to being invited to Germany and seeing this product, and even having permission, jumping through.
Sorry, are you returning next year, Jay?
I hope so. I hope so.
Maybe we can hook up then.
Oh, good.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
please. Sorry
to just sideline, Jay. But Nuremberg, isn't it like very, aside from the show itself, isn't it very it's lifeless outside? That everything's closed.
Well, the convention center is it's just middle of nowhere, but the city itself is like this old 1500s walled castle city.
Yeah.
And we had a blast. Like there was bars and stuff, and we went
Firth, right?
Yeah, kind of bar crawling a little bit, and so it was a lot of fun. So if we're both there next year, Ace, we're gonna throw down.
Okay, all right.
But
we're getting plans started now. We're getting plans. So on that note, since we have you here, Jay, was like other booths, were there opportunities to take photos of anything, or was it literally as locked down?
Like, so again, I had press credentials, and say Jazzwares was a funny example where they, I went to the thing and I was like trying to say, hey, I'm here for press. I would love to see your what your showcase is. Again, the big companies, it was all walled in. You couldn't, it was a door to get in, right? And Jazzware was just like, no, you're not welcome in here. We have confidential stuff in here. You can't come in here. I was like, oh, okay. And again, the people that were part of the toy fair doing videos and stuff, they couldn't even get into some of these things. So the only way I got into Mattel was through, again, just pulling every connection that I had to try and get an invite to go inside. And I even know for a fact that some other Motu websites that are in Germany were a little peeved because they had to sign NDAs and they couldn't share anything, whereas I was given permission to, and even that was a bit of a thing. So but that's the one thing I guess I didn't like about this show, and Ace, you've been there before, is how secretive it all is. It feels very like backroom deals, and
but then again, not to give the wrong impression to the audience, it's not all like that. It's only a certain set of the halls are like that. There's open halls where exhibitors are displaying things openly, and then you're free to take pictures, of course.
100%.
Right? It's only the big corporations that have, they just have stuff that's planned for the year, and I don't know, maybe to prevent people from copying, certain things, right? So yeah, it's all walled up. Even the mini champs, it's all walled up. The die-cast cars, it's you can't see anything. So
yeah, some of it's very open, like the train pavilion, and or even again, there's so many different sections, but there's almost like this different country sections. So there was like the China, the brands of China, and then they had like the US and like New Zealand, and it was almost like a World's Fair, which is pretty crazy.
And there's even a licensing aspect to the show. There is another section that's for licensing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, hell, they had like a costume section and balloon section. Oh, fireworks! They had fireworks.
Yes. Everything that's toy related. Dressed up. Chess sets.
Yeah.
Everything and anything. Yeah.
I want to welcome Rodimus Primal to the stream. Rodimus, how are you?
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much. Well, you know what's going on.
I saw. I actually, when I saw it, I clicked on it and I saw you were in the middle of the conversation. So I went back to the beginning of your live stream when you first came on and watched it straight through. And then I clicked live after he got off just to see where you were at and see you guys were chatting about it. And I'm like, all right. Because I'm sitting here, I'm listening to him talk and I'm trying to do some research for, for a video I'm working on. And that's for not for my secondary channel, but my Transformers stuff. So, but it was interesting to listen to him talk about this stuff. And I'm like, you're, I'm sitting there scratching my head because it's like he has as much credential really. I mean, he has an in that he used to work for Mattel, but he has as much in present day as you or I would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you really think about it, okay, for my Jay, you have press credentials with Mattel, you were allowed to go to a toy fair, outside of the country, but I have press credentials, let's say with Hasbro in a sense, in that I was just on a fan roundtable where they've got me, the guy who owns TFW 2005. T-Formers and Sabertron and, TFU.info. So all of us fan sites, we got to talk to the brand team for Hasbro. That's as much info as we have. We're not I think honestly, Scott has just as much. Yeah. Toys R Us was on there too. Russ is a great guy. I think he's just a chill British guy. If you ever seen his content. But I'm just throwing names out there, but I think there were 20 of us on there and there were some who weren't on there, but I think Scott has as much credential as that. He knows who his older contacts are. If they're still at Mattel, that's about it, and I think that we have to take that into consideration with anything he says. And he says he has 3 independent sources. Well, I'll tell you who my sources are. Who are your sources?
Yeah.
We can look at the registered office. We know that Mattel, remember he had said he was really firm on that Mattel was going to lose the license to Masters of the Universe. And then you actually look, no, Mattel owns Masters of the Universe. Yeah, we can talk about, that Universal owns
She-Ra.
Well, they own She-Ra, but they own the Filmation cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? But do you not think that Universal would not try to have a good working relationship with Mattel? Would they not want to actually try and produce stuff? Or is there bad blood between Mattel and DreamWorks or Universal? We don't know that. We don't know those details. I don't think he knows those details. So I take what he has is a great grain of salt, at the end of the day. And that's just basically the bottom line. I think what bothered me is that he really feels like he is the authority.
Yeah.
Like he knows this stuff. Yes, you have an understanding. The other thing I found interesting was he said in this live stream that you were speaking to him earlier was quite literally if he was still brand manager, he said he wouldn't put it at retail. So in other words, you don't think that you can sell Masters of the Universe to kids of today. You don't think that kids would not want to get the sword unless you really honestly think that nobody like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, my son's 4 years old. If I gave him a sword and had him watch an episode of He-Man, he's going to be sticking that thing in the air and going, by the power of Grayskull.
Yeah.
All right? Let's just be real about that. Like, if you have kids and you see when you present them something really cool for a cartoon and you give them a toy that has related to it, they're going to be all over it. My kids love Mario. My daughter wants to sit in here and watch Transformers with me. Each of them have their own interests, but if you give them toys, they'll play with it.
Yeah.
So
right. Should we talk about J-Frog here? Because I think we were making these comments live in the chat while I was there. I think there's no ragging here. I think it's if you're going to put your opinion out there, people should have the opportunity to talk about that opinion.
Yeah. I think that's what we're doing is we're
building a bit on what Rodimus just mentioned about Mattel, the rights, and Universal and DreamWorks. It brings to mind about should I use the word fiasco with Silverhawks?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, and then Silverhawks LLC, and then it could just be a case of that, and then he has some information, and then he's using his particular knowledge on one field of it and speaking about it, but not knowing the whole picture. So I think that could be.
J-Frog, just to highlight what Jay said. No, the reality is everything that was said was exactly what Scott wanted to say, and because of that, he had ample opportunity, to say these things. And I fielded questions from the chat. And it's not like we haven't said these things before. Like, these things they're not tiny little secrets that everyone's like, they're not what's it called, backhanded comments, right? We're all open to this, and Scott's probably watching this right now. He's always welcome to come back. I invited him again, right? I said, Scott, I hope you'll come back. And you know what? Knowing Scott, he will come back because honestly, he's a great conversationalist. And let's not put this behind Scott.
And I don't think we're ragging on the guy per the comment there. I think we're just reviewing and debriefing.
Yeah.
That was all. Yeah. That's all we're doing. Yeah.
Kind of like it's a matter of like digesting all of the information that he gave off.
Yeah. We're trying to
whether or not we agree with it, whether or not we don't agree with it. And I'm looking at the information more than anything else. And because he believes he is the source, that's where we're getting on him, where I get on him about it. I'll give him credit where credit's due. The man was a brand manager for a length of time, but he hasn't been for 9 years.
Yeah.
2014 was when he left. He hasn't, he's not been, he might still be in some capacity in the toy industry, but we all are. If we really think about it.
Yeah.
Like in some form or fashion, we technically all are, even if we are consumers ourselves.
But I think to Ace's point, I think having the sense of self to be humble about whatever experience we do have, right? I don't think anybody here is saying I am the all-saying authority on this thing. I think what Ace said, I think the more appropriate thing is I was a brand manager 10 years ago. This is how we dealt with it then. Maybe that could be something that affects it today, but maybe it doesn't,
Right.
But it's not presented that way. And I think that's where he gets into people being frustrated or maybe gets into trouble with the way he communicates it.
That's probably where a lot of people get mad about with what he's saying is how he's presenting it and the information. That and his shirt was a troll. I will say that.
Yeah, there's something going on there. So
I will leave it at that.
I was so concentrated on what we were doing that I started noticing people saying he's trolling. I'm like, who's trolling? What's going on? Then I said, check out his T-shirt. I'm like, oh my god, are you serious? That's crazy.
But the meat shirt.
I mean, at the end of the day, if he's going to use it, if he's going to market himself, maybe that's one of his catch lines. I don't know.
I guess. Having been the person that like gave the venue for that thing,
Jay.
it's miserable. But to that point, it's just like they just both. I hate saying both sides, but both sides of that thing, they can't leave it alone.
No,
it's like, damn it, just stop. Can we just stop talking about it?
I think
sometimes we want to go back and just enjoy our toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I've said that to both parties multiple times. Like, it's just, can we just have fun? These are
like getting a 3D printed chain gun on this guy.
Oh, that's sick.
Like, actually has a little spin thing there, and because the one that came with him was this little tiny little energon like gun. Yeah. But yeah, no, having a 3D printed chain gun, and it's blast effect compatible. So
what?
So like he can carry that. And if I was to say like two characters I would love to see on screen at the same time would be Bulkhead and Ironhide. Like that would just be an awesome thing.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. So, but just getting back into that, like I said, enjoying our toys. Like that's the point here. Like what we want to be able to enjoy the toys, and I think that's where a lot of us get so passionate about our favorite franchises. And to what Scott said there, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But there can be a retail market for it if you're going to produce anything, really. I mean, there's a retail market right now. If you go to Walmart and you go into into the video game section, there's an aisle in the video game section of all the adult collectibles, right? And what if Masters of the Universe is getting moved? Like Masterverse might get moved over there, but probably not, because Mattel is selling it as a toy line. I think Masterverse, is probably still going to be at least going to be ongoing, because we know that they're making another cartoon, right? Isn't there supposed to be Revolution?
Yeah, season 2 is coming. So from what I understand, what I've heard, both Masterverse and Origins has done really well. I mean, Mattel said as such on their last big investor meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Masters of the Universe has been something that has been keeping that's making their stockholders happy.
Exactly. And again, this is it's not like this is a secret. This is they have said they saw an increase in boys' toy sales, based on IP, and MOTU was the big IP that they put out, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shiny Plastic People says, "Excuse me, I am the all-knowing and all-being. If I don't know something, but I am. Gosh darn it!"
I started my entire YouTube channel on that like not knowing, and I would ask the question, like, what was the Who Became Cyclonus video was based on, well, is it Bombshell? Is it Skywarp? And it wasn't until I asked Flint Dilly that I actually feel like that has been the definitive answer. So,
Carol says, "I've translated product descriptions for dog toys, so I guess I'm in the toy industry too."
Hey, you are.
Good one.
We're all here to share each other's experience and knowledge. Everybody has, a very concentrated knowledge of where that person got his toy, her toy. So we can't be knowing all, but we can know all from everybody. Yeah,
love that, Ace. I think that's why people watch these channels. It's why we do them, right? We like to share our passions for something, and we like to meet like-minded people that also love these things.
Yeah,
or at least that's why I do. It's like having a community of people that, I don't get to turn on. There's Sports Center for sports crap. I wanna hear about toy stuff. And
the internet and YouTube and StreamYard is bringing us closer. To share our passion and not to use this to give our battles against different opinions.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Huge shout out to Natural Nate Marvel for the $10 super chat. Thank you again, my friend. Impressive. You got Toy Guru on. You know what? truthfully, it's not that impressive. I mean, he's very open. He really is. If Rodimus wants him on, I'm pretty sure he'll go on to Rodimus, and Ace, if you want him on, I'm pretty sure he's there.
He's more focused on Motu, and I'm more focused on Transformers. So it might be like from a place of non-knowledge. So it would not be. I wouldn't be able to give a productive question an answer to him. So
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
Adam Warlock's Orb of Eternity. Do you guys realize that they are just one member short of forming Voltron?
Really?
Yes. We need John in here. If we had John, we would combine to form Voltron immediately.
Yeah. Torn feet and legs. Warm arms and body.
Oh man, I love Voltron. Kyoto Film says, "Did you see the Amazon Mexico list today?" I'm gonna have to go and ask Toy Habits if that list is available, because they are on the ball with that kind of stuff. Sir Clifton, and here's the thing that I did want to bring up with you guys. My local big retailer wiped out Motu off the face of the area. He's telling some truth. He even mentioned his area retailing disappearing as well. I have to choose online or drive 3 hours to 3 different cities. And Sir Clifton gives the mic drop. Are you guys noticing that Motu is disappearing from the aisles?
I've actually was recently at Target. Saw a bunch of different stuff. Snake Tila, I think, was on there. Buzzoff was on the shelf. Sorceress. They've always. I've not seen the Naked Stratos move, but I've seen the other stuff like sell. Like it'll be on the shelf, and then it'll be gone, and then it'll be on the shelf, and it'll be gone. So it means to me that it's selling. Transformers right now is a lot of empty space, but it's empty space for Transformers. So I honestly believe that it's just that these stores are either, they may be shrinking retail space just like they did for Marvel Legends. Remember last time we talked about this with Marvel Legends?
Yeah.
How like it disappeared from the shelves for a while, and then all of a sudden it came back.
Yep.
And that was specific to Target, but yet Walmart still carried it. But Walmart might be doing the same thing, because where there's a there's what's the word I'm looking for? We're in January, February. January, February is when all these toy companies do, or all these retail stores, they do their
resets.
They're the resets. They do inventory. You start seeing what's the name of that company? The
Regits,
yes, that's it. Regits for the inventory.
Inventory.
You start seeing that all over the shelves. So that these big box retailers do that. The other thing is that, like, and I saw this in your chat earlier, was that Target they put stuff on clearance on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put everything on clearance. Why?
Yep.
Because Target and Walmart don't just sell toys.
Correct.
They sell towels. They sell furniture. They sell groceries now. They sell everything. So for them to clear the inventory for the next, thing that they can order, as long as they still, break even or make a profit, they still make a profit. They sell plenty of stuff.
The Rock did say that, but the thing about Hollywood movies, even the failures eventually make money. That's why it's so funny. If a movie's released in theaters, in most cases, eventually it'll make money. Whether it eventually takes to like streaming rights or DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever. In most cases, even if it's a bomb, it will make money eventually.
Karen, the 4 toy gurus on screen right now. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Very
And
much.
Geechee Don, I always see him in my comments on YouTube too. So good to see you on here too.
Absolutely. Luca Johnny. Lucha. Sorry, my Target and Walmart are both fully stocked. There's nothing new here, but they're there. My Target had an end cap full of older Masterverse, but it was at all full price, not clearanced out. And that's an interesting point. Some of us who missed out on some of these on some of these lines, I think, are benefiting from the idea that they're and you know what? If you were a collector of all the the variants, the fact that they're actually branding them as new for 23 is pretty exciting when you think about that. Because Go ahead.
Oh, to back that up, I put a picture. I presented it. You have to just plus it in.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
But this was at my Walmart yesterday. I had to pick up some groceries in the morning. Backing up what Lucha is saying, basically, it's the damn Naked Stratos wave. But it's stocked. They have everything in there. And that's the Walmart that's closest to me.
I need that snout spout.
They had like 10 snout spouts in there.
No, Jay, do me a favor. Hold on for me one day. When it goes on clearance, Jay, that's the
everybody, I do have to run, but Rodimus Primal, nice to share a screen with you for the first time.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
And then Ace, you're my hero.
Oh no,
And Mega J,
Not
you're
ready.
also my hero.
Oh, come on. It's the other way around. You know what? Everybody here is a wonderful creator. Guys, definitely give a like and a follow and check out everybody's and subscribe to everybody here. Jay at Geek Dad Life, Rodimus Primal, of course, anything Transformers, and of course, Ramen Toy is going to reveal something very, very soon because the new boxes for the 80s Commanders are about to hit the scene, and we're very, very excited about those. One thing I would ask really nicely though, Ace, is there any way you can not put the bubble glued to the back? Because I would love.
We are working on that. We're working on that. Yeah.
Jay, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on. Take care. Great job again, Jay. You did.
Thank you. I
You did a great job.
I tried my best.
See you soon, Jay.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Yep. Oh, it's just now Voltron is less.
And then there was
have 2 legs. Voltron's down to just the torso. You know what though?
Or we can be a 3 bot combiner like Railways.
Oh, you know what? It could be Voltron 2. Voltron 2 only had 3 robots. So.
No, you're I'm saying like who was it? Rail Racer.
Oh,
yeah. Car robots.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
A 3 bot combiner. So
yeah.
Yeah,
there were multiple combiners all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
We can cite so many of them right now. You know, I do respect Scott, and that's the reason why I asked him to come on board. And you know what, to his credit, he did come on board, and that's really important. And we're not, once again, guys, we're dissecting what we learned today. Okay, we're trying to figure out by ourselves, you know, what exactly is going on, and that's to not question is to be complacent at the end of the day, right? Like none of us have, as Rodimus Primal said it best, we all have about as much access. Sorry, Scott has just about as much access as any of us right now. He might have some sources that none of us know of, but at the end of the day, not citing those sources always puts things into question. So that's where we're coming from. It's just a wonderful. How do you know? How do you know for sure? And you know what? He's put some videos out there, and you know, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure this out. Hopefully things continue. And I think I said it the last time. Eventually, he will be right. That is just an eventuality.
Yeah.
You know, a broken clock is right twice a day, and eventually he will be right. I mean, that's just the way it is. But you know what? I asked this earlier, Rodimus. What were your takeaways from today's presentation? Like, did you learn anything more, or was it just for you just more of the same?
It's a good question. I think if I were to give an honest response, I think that he still comes like he's still saying like he's the absolute authority, so to speak. But I think that a lot of it feels like like it feels like he's conflate like I don't know how to describe it. I'm like at a loss for words. Like I didn't really learn anything new. It's more so that it kind of clarified what I already think, what I honestly think about where he thinks the line is going to go. You know, in that I don't think that he has as much like definitive say so as he believes. That's pretty much it. Like it's not that I discount anything that he's done before in the past, but good, bad, or indifferent. But you know,
yeah, no, totally understandable. Some of the takeaways that I did want to mention, because you know, Rodimus, you were on a panel and got to meet you know, some industry professionals yourself.
Right.
You know, did like, and Ace, you can probably also chime into this as well. the lines that Jay was able to witness at this Germany show. Again, I apologize to all the German people who are watching. I just cannot pronounce that thing. The Nuremberg show, right? That's
Nuremberg Toy Fair.
I'll refer to it as that. You know, having seen these, and I'm just gonna call them prototypes for now. But Jay said that they were very, if not already ready to go, are pretty much done. Like you could, he said that you could basically put in a box and away you go, right? I heard that.
Yeah.
What mystery did you find, Rodimus?
Something my wife sent me.
It's all good. It's all good. You know, I do the opening box. As you know, I do the opening box sound effect all the time. You know, because Jay saw all these things, right? What was your reaction to Scott's sort of idea that Europe is actually the last ones to be offered this stuff, and that and what would be the possibility of them getting this line instead of us, guys? What do you think?
I think it's just a rationalization. You know, he's just rationalizing what he said, because
there it is. That's
I
it.
mean, he of all people should know the potency of the brand, Masters of the Universe. The brand will not die. I mean, even if there's no product, the brand is going to be there. It's waiting for another person, another body, another company to pick it up and make something out of it. Just like how Silverhawks had no people making it until Super 7 came along, right? So same thing, the products, and there's been so many reveals. I mean, if I was Scott, how would I justify a Snake Mountain that was being announced just recently before the end of the year to come out to say that, you know, it will not be available in retail? Then where is it going to be sold at, right? But then again, we do see, again, the clearance at these big box retailers. And there is a hint that these big box retailers who don't just only sell toys, they sell many things, and toys is just a small percentage of their, you know, commodities and sales. Maybe there is a decision to not pick this particular product on the shelf in the toy section. Again, we don't know, right? So really to just say that it's off retail with such you know, confidence and authority just wasn't maybe the best move. That's all. And especially as also he mentioned that you know, toy companies are not making toys for us, they are making toys for children. Not true, because they don't make masterpiece Transformers for children, right? They keep making it better and more accurate. It's for geeks like us, right? You know,
there are actually two teams that work on Transformers.
Yeah.
The team that I spoke with are the people who work on the collector line, which is Legacy, which they know does sell to kids. So it is still aimed at a kid and an adult demographic. Yeah. And then there is what they call mainline, and also the movie line. So you have Studio Series and Legacy, which is is like more for the adult collector.
Yeah, it is.
And then you have you have Earth Spark and the main line for Rise of the Beasts. There are two separate teams for that at Hasbro. Yep. So those are the people who work on those those Transformers figures. So it makes me wonder, is there two separate teams for Masters of the Universe Origins and Masters Universe, the Masterverse stuff?
Yeah.
Like, is it actually, do they have a split in toy designers? Like, you work on this and we work on this, and this is the thing we work on. And, so it makes me wonder. I don't know how it works at Mattel. I can't say that it does work that way at Mattel because they, like Jay said before he got off the call, was that Mattel is saying Masters of the Universe has done well for them.
Yeah.
I'm still curious, as they have not given us a date yet for Masters of the Universe Revolution, when that season 2 is supposed to come out.
That is interesting on that. I mean, like, it was announced. Even what's his name there? Kevin Smith actually tweeted all about it, right? He said that thanks for helping us get there. But these television production takes forever, right?
It
Especially
does.
with the post production. So
Yeah.
you know, and animation is a different beast entirely. So we just don't.
And it's February. Remember that it's
Yeah.
February. So I honestly think that they're going to launch it at a time that they know that it's going to do them well for the toy lines.
Absolutely, 100%.
You know, Toy Fair is when New York Toy Fair is you know, when is that?
Soon?
It's soon, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
All the shows comes one after the other, right? Nuremberg, and then before Nuremberg, there's actually the Hong Kong toy show, which
Right.
I'm not sure if it was
okay, so
available.
this year they actually delayed New York Toy Fair because of all the hoopla. So that's not even until September 30th through October 3rd, 2023. So normally it's in February. Is when traditionally is when Toy Fair is. So and then you have Comic-Con in June. June, July, somewhere around there.
That's a big one.
You know, so those are big giant avenues for these companies to like put stuff out for. So they have to get their stuff around. When are we going to be able to put the product out and make it sell?
Yeah, and you know, along the lines of that, what's it called? San Diego has become a media launch point, right? So you know, anything related to comics or movies for the MCU or DCU, you know, they premiere them there. They have like guests come in and talk about. I mean, that's where, other than PowerCon, that's actually where Kevin Smith did his most PR work during the release of Revelations, right? So that was actually really.
It was Comic-Con. So
exactly. Private 776 says, question for Ace. I like the movie He-Man Heads. Can you say approximate shipping costs for Germany if you know?
Yes, thank you so much. We are giving like $8 US for generic shipping all over the world because the heads are pretty small. So they'll fit into a conventional package for Korea. So the cost is kept down to just $8 US. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Luis Gonzalez says, to Ramen Toys, you should release versus 2-packs for army building. All the Centurions against a bad robot. I forgot his name. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting.
Well,
you could have Ace versus
sure, we would love to.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be very, very interesting. But then again, that's a lot of tooling costs all over. Diecast Nick says, I reckon Scott is mostly correct. The line will go the way they have in Europe already, Mattel Creations and online stores. G.I. Joe is only on Pulse in Europe now, similarly based a similar business model. Yeah, but that was something of a forced injection by Hasbro Pulse, wasn't it? I mean, Hasbro Pulse pulled the plug on Germany. On Europe, if I'm not correct.
Well, no, they currently right now, if you go on Hasbro Pulse right now, if I'm correct, in fact, I'll show you that right now is HasbroPulse.com, and it'll ask you if you're in the US or you're in the
UK,
right?
UK. Or Europe.
Yeah, like you can actually like change it to, to where you're at, and it will. Yeah, you can change your location to United Kingdom or Europe on Hasbro Pulse, and they will ship there. So, like that's where they are able to ship those particular figures out directly from Hasbro. I mean, of course, if you're going for Target or whatever your other avenues, are for figures, it depends upon where you're getting them.
Yeah. Prince of Phalanx, thank you for the $2 super sticker, my friend. Hello, everyone. Sorry for me. You're not late, brother. You're right where you need to be. Adam N says, I don't believe Scott.
I can see both sides. Okay, he's saying he can see both sides, and that's a fair. Something, and I'll say this: it's fair to look at what he says and kind of go, let me weigh this out.
Yeah.
Let me see where it really is. Is like, are you really, you're telling us this, but, and so, okay, he says he has sources. So let's play this out. Are your sources correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's really also the bottom line too, is like, are his sources correct? Because remember at the beginning of his video, when he said that it was going to end, which was the big one that made everybody talk about it.
Yep.
He said, I know when they're lying to me.
That was tough.
I was like, who are you talking about? Oh, I talked to someone at Mattel, and they like, I can tell when they're lying to me. And I went, okay, I can see where you're, but yeah, just look, see it from both sides, take it with a grain of salt. You know, just based upon what Mattel's own statements about product coming out, I don't believe that the line is ending. Yeah. I don't believe, that the line is ending. I believe that maybe the retailers are shrinking down shelf space until more product arrives, which, again, this year, I think they're pushing everything back until the summer. Like Comic-Con is in the summer. In the fall is when Toy Fair is this year, which is way off than it normally is. But then again, New York's been in a I won't even get into, like, I love New York, but New York's been going through New York stuff. So
okay,
that's why I'm in Florida now.
Uncosplay says, I mean, fundamentally being neutral about this doesn't hurt. Believe him? Great. I'm going to buy toys. Don't believe him? I'm still buying toys.
Yeah, there you go. There you
go. Wizard World. I literally heard a kid crying, I need a fart gun, Daddy. Dad, you don't need a fart gun.
The Minions, right?
Yeah, that's true. It is the Minions, isn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Universal.
Carlos says, why would Scott wear that T-shirt? He should move on from the retro blasting.
Yeah, that's kind of it's kind of telling, actually. It's kind of telling.
Yeah.
Of there's a feud going on, and it's still going on, and
I think they're feeding.
Who's going to be the adult in the room, and and show that it's all good. There's no bad blood. There's no grudge.
Unfortunately, you get in between two fighting dogs, you're going to get bit. That's just unfortunate. The unfortunate side of that. Yep. So best to stay away. Unfortunately, Adam. A year from now, we will all be on live stream saying, "Remember the origins and Masterverse?" I hope not. Yeah, I hope that we're going to see. But again, it will eventually, like all good things come to an end, except for Transformers for whatever. Transformers never gets off the pegs. But
2 years, 1991 and 1992, and during those 2 years, they were still being sold in Europe. And then came Generation 2.
Yep.
Generation 2 didn't do so well, and the brand that saved the Transformers was Beast Wars.
Wow!
Oh,
incredible! Canadian.
That's what saved the Transformers.
Canadian production, by the way. Just tooting my own horn there. Yes, Mainframe Entertainment. Wonderful idea. The whole concept turned everything on its head, and we've come full circle. What is it? 2 months? 3 months? That we're going to see the movie. I think.
Yeah.
Rise of the Beast? Is that right?
Rise of the Beast. They're doing their own spin on it, and I'm on the fence, especially with Wheeljack, man. Like, what do they do to poor Wheeljack? They turn him into Urkel.
Oh my gosh!
Turn him into an Urkel bot.
So ridiculous. I like the direction that they were going with the first Bumblebee film, standalone. Yeah. They had something right there, and now they're just turning it on its head. I don't understand. I mean, Wheeljack looked fine. Wheeljack looked amazing. They all looked amazing.
Yeah. He was voiced by Scott Bloom in that one clip.
Oh, just crazy.
They're attacking the Capitol, and they had Greg Griffin was RC. I know they had a bunch of different characters being voiced there. Braun was in that group, but
yeah, we saw. Did we see Ratchet? I know we saw Ironhide.
Ratchet was there.
Yeah.
Ironhide was there.
Yeah.
Soundwave, Shockwave.
Yeah.
Ravage, Starscream. Like the thing is, you could see them on screen.
Yeah.
You can just sort of go, ooh, I know that one. Ooh, I know that one. I know that one. Like,
you can recognize.
In 2007, you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that in 2000.
No, they were all so fragmented, and they all look so generic in a lot of ways that you were like, "What is that?" Like, he's a spiky thing. I don't know what is he supposed to be. No, Jeff, we are not. That's not what's happening here. As a matter of fact, we're going all over the place right now. The reality is, we're just trying to digest, as we said earlier, what's going on and what we took away from today's chat. So, Jeff, I appreciate what you're saying, but that's not what's happening. Uncosplay Beast Wars. Well, that's just
prime. And well, there's just no pleasing some people. That's a great line too from Optimus Primal.
Yeah,
I'm also kind of annoyed that, like, they couldn't get Gary Chalk to be in the movie. You could have had Peter Cullen and Gary Chalk.
That would have been perfect, right? That
both
would have been
on screen at the same time. That would have been amazing.
It's just that Hollywood requirement that, you know what, there needs to be more.
There has to be a marquee name.
Yeah, for the two leads, right? For the two leads, they need bigger names, which is actually why it was really impressive that shoot, no, I'm losing his name. Megatron, what's his name?
Hugo Weaving.
No. Well, Hugo Weaving originally, but then
then they got Frank Welker.
Yeah, Frank Welker actually came back in the very next films and ended up doing Megatron, which I thought was great. I thought that was a really cool nod to the fans. You know, that was definitely one of those things that never happens, right? Scott does act like a sour X in a breakup. Natural Nate. Shots fired, man. Shots fired. Ooh. I do believe it's supposed to be May. I think it's going to be one of those summer blockbusters.
I guess he was talking about. Oh no.
Is it not May?
You're gonna ask about Rise of the Beasts, probably, right? Rise of the Beasts comes out
June. Summer movie.
June 9th.
Oh, June 9th. Okay, so not too far away from May.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brian Stadler says Universal owns Jurassic Park. Doesn't, but who licenses the toys?
Mattel.
Mattel has the license for the toys, yes. But
Yeah.
who licenses
And
the
they're
toys?
sold.
Who licenses the toys? Universal.
That's a weird one. Yeah, well, it would be Universal, wouldn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you go into Universal, I live close enough to Universal Studios that I can go there and I see them in the toy shops. So they're being sold there. They're seeing sold in regular. Like you have an entire giant section for Jurassic Park stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
I made some stuff for Universal before. So
yeah. Was Fred of Mattel the source?
Ski Raider. What was Fred of the Mattel the source? We're in between events and we'll see the outcome soon enough. We know something is on the way and they have to make room, like Ramos Primal said. Here's the thing: Fred was noticeably absent today, so he didn't come to defend Scott. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, that's right. I did see that clip when you guys did that.
So if I may, just to share my my work.
That's interesting. Hold on.
So I made this for Universal.
Oh, wow.
It's a Jurassic Park tumbler.
Yeah, those are for were for the movie theaters, I guess.
For the park. No, for the park.
Yeah, all for the park. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of history there with
stuff.
A little bit of history.
Bring this guy into.
Look at his. Is that the Super 7 one, or is that
this is the NECA Godzilla versus Biollante? Heisei Godzilla.
Oh, the Biollante one. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
This one is. Oh man, when I got this guy out of the box, I was just like, oh yes. I don't think Beast Wars was a step back. No, it wasn't a step back.
No. He's saying that Beast Wars now is a step back. The first 10 minutes of Bumblebee was G1 heaven.
Well, if you want to say Rise of the Beast, maybe, but because Beast Wars, you got to remember something when they made that show, they didn't make it initially to be a sequel to G1. Like the cartoon wasn't intended to be a sequel to G1, but the showrunners. Bob Forward and Larry DiTilio, who worked on Filmation He-Man and created She-Ra, were like, why don't we just acknowledge that the original series happened by saying the Great War? And then that made all of us go, oh my gosh, is this part of G1? And they went, let's try and see if we can incorporate it that way. And they did. And then they made it a sequel to G1. So in season 2, when they actually go into the Ark and the original Autobots and Decepticons are actually present and they're there. And then of course Ravage with the Decepticons forever, and he does the classic transformation, turns into a cassette, goes into the it was just like, man, I'm in it. I'm in it. If you've never seen Beast Wars,
it's more of a when you think about it though, it was like a secret prequel then. Right, because they
it was or
did they go back in time? Like how did that? Was that what it was?
It's in the future. 300 years after the Autobot and Decepticon conflict ends.
That's right.
So when does the Autobot and Decepticon conflict end? We don't know.
Yeah.
Because if we go by the G1 cartoon, it never ended. If we go by the Marvel comics, it doesn't necessarily fit fit into the timeline because of the way that the sequel series for the Marvel Comics work. So it really more fits in with the cartoon. Well, 300 years after, now we have Maximals and Predacons, and then they time travel back onto prehistoric Earth, except for you don't know that it's prehistoric Earth. And they're on, where animals are roaming around and everything. But if we know how the original cartoon began, or the original series began, is that the Ark crash landed 4 million years ago. So they're in a time frame after 4 million years, which actually I found it interesting that Optimus Primal said this in season 3, where he goes, "We have 4 million years to scrape you off the walls, Megatron. I might risk it." I love that line. Like, that was like die-cast construction. It's a lost art. Like, it's another great, line there. So, but that was like one of the coolest things about Beast Wars, is how it connected to Generation 1. So, great point. When did it end? How long the Maximals and Predacons have been around since by season 1? Well, that's the thing, is they go back to Cybertron at the end of Beast Wars. So, and they go back to their time frame. So, I guess you wanted to read this, or
no, that's okay. That was what you were referring to, right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's Nemesis in season 3. Yep. And where they actually go and they find the original, which is actually kind of neat because it lines up with the cartoon with the Nemesis, because the Nemesis, they found it under the water, but Megatron raised it up from the water and it crash landed into the mountains, which when you watch season 2, the episode Microbots, they find the Nemesis. The original original Decepticon ship, the Nemesis, crash landed on Earth, but we don't know where it crash landed.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Right? But they find it in an expedition. So everybody thinks that the ship that was the Decepticon base during season 1 and season 2 was actually the Nemesis. No, that wasn't the Nemesis.
Yeah, that was the ship. That was the ship that they were trying to.
That was the ship they were using to try to escape from.
That's right.
But the ship itself, like the Nemesis, had crash landed, and they found it in an excavation. But that wouldn't make sense if they found it underwater. So when they brought it out from under the water, then they crashed it into the rocks. So it actually does line up with a cartoon. So
I'm learning a lot about Transformers today.
Yeah.
Well, we have the best man for the job. Ace, if you haven't seen Rodimus Primal's retrospectives on specific characters, definitely check out Rodimus Primal's.
I do a lot of retrospective videos and what have you. I'm actually currently working on a bigger one, a bigger name, because I did Goldbug and the Throttlebots, if you remember.
That was a really good one. Yep.
And I did Hound. And both of those were done here, like now in my new place. Like before that point, I was getting in the process of moving, and getting new videos out was not as easy.
Yeah, it can't have been hard to move all the way from New Jersey to California.
No.
Yeah. Jay Worm says, "I just want the hat that Ace is wearing." You're going to market those, aren't you, Ace? Like, seriously.
The shipping is expensive. That's why, unless we get some program going, otherwise to ship one cap over is just too expensive. It's not worth the price.
Absolutely. That's a great point. When did it end, and how long? We answered that question.
Yeah, gone through that already.
Well, yeah, they crash landed and they existed during their time on Earth, and then they left at the end of the show, and then they went back to Cybertron, and then you have Beast Machines.
Yep. Mike Fee, diecast toys are big rubber wrestling figures of the 80s were dangerous. No, they weren't. You know what? Here's a question. We had, by today's standards, we had some dangerous toys back then. Swallowing hazards, diecast, which you could knock each other's heads off with, big, huge rubber mallets in wrestling toys. What changed? What happened?
No, nothing changed. It's still the same. The same.
Today they have all these safety requirements for toys. It's
no, it's always been around. Toy safety standards it's just being upgraded as and when something new happened. An incident, unfortunately, then they upgrade the requirements. But it's always been like the EN71, the ESTM. It's always been there. Yep.
I
Even
get
when I was doing this kind of products, they required toy testing, right? So yeah, so I did these products in 2014.
Yep.
And then they required toy testing on these products.
Yeah, because you have to do the drop tests and everything else like that too, right?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
I think we were then. You know what? We were tougher as kids back in the '80s. Then
I'm getting hailed by my wife for dinner.
All right. Well, thank
All
you,
right.
Rodimus, for being here tonight. You know, on that note, let's. I think we will. But you know what? First, before that, Prince of Phalanx, thank you for the $5 super chat. Love hearing Rodimus Primal retail Transformers lore. It's like veteran retelling war stories, just like Cup. Just like Cup.
Turbo revving, young punk. I'll straighten you out yet.
Well, the dust was really thick. All right, guys. On that note, you know what? I do want to thank my special guests for tonight, and of course my drop-in guests. You know, but first and foremost, one last time, we are not picking on Scott. Scott can defend himself. He knows what he's doing. Trust me. Having Scott on here was a privilege, and of course, we do appreciate his insights. I want to thank each and every one of my special drop-in guests tonight: Ramen Toy from Ace from Ramen Toy, Jay from Geek Dad Life, and of course, Rodimus Primal. Thank you guys for being here tonight, guys. Before we log off, tell us how we can check out your channels. Rodimus, why don't you tell us everybody about it?
You know, my regular channel is Rodimus Primal. My regular channel is Rodimus Primal. I have Rodimus Primal Talks is my secondary channel. I have you can find me on Twitter and you know, at Rodimus Primal, and a Rodimus Primal show or Rodimus Primal fan show, I think it is, for Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, I'm getting hailed for dinner, so it's that's where you can find me there, and that's about it. So
that's excellent. Thank you, Rodimus. Ace, tell us where we can find you, my friend.
I gotta go. Take care, guys.
Yep.
Take it easy,
All right.
Rodimus. Thanks for everything.
Rodimus Primal.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Jay, for having me on. I was staying up for the live stream, and then now it's all the way till 7 a.m. in the morning now.
You
So
might
I
as
gotta
well
get
just
back
stay
to
up.
work. And yeah, just find me on Facebook/Ramen Toy, and then our website is www.ramentoy.com. We got our new TMNT stands up for pre-order. Go check those out. Yeah, back to you, Jay.
Thanks again, Ace, and of course, Rodimus Primal, for spending some time with us. Jay over at Geek Dead Live, thank you so much for those insights. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. It's been an absolute blast. I do want to thank all of my Patreon supporters for their support. Without their support, I would not be able to do this on a regular basis. They are the best. Let me just bring up the slide because I didn't do it. Where the heck is it? There it is. There it is. Each and every one of these supporters is the lifeblood of the channel. I really appreciate everything that you do for me. Princess Cagley, Old IT Guy, Rabrican33, Joseph Michaels, Gamer Bud, Mania Places Toy Shop, Jordan from Canada, Nolan, Master Person 200, John Mejia, Mitchell Bennett, Randall Guzig, Schwarzmat, Snell World, Skyfall, MF Toy Canada, Palpatine 1975, Darth Kumar, Smoked Ham, Tony Olivero, Kevin Herbert, Efrain Rivera, Rufus Rogers, the other Nolan, John Joker, Sir Clifton, Terrence St. John, Ostermander's Toys, Justin Huffman, and Bella. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you're interested in helping support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. It's Mega J Retro on Patreon, or just become a channel member here on YouTube. I really appreciate all your support, guys. It really means the world to me. Huge thanks, Nolan, for your $2 super chat. Thank you again, my friend. You're amazing. And of course, for everybody who sent in a super chat, you guys are incredible. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Guys, I want to thank everybody who made today possible, especially all of my mods, who I will not be naming by name because they asked me not to, but they really did a bang-up job tonight. I really appreciate it. Guys, thank you again for being here tonight. Ace, you want to say anything really quickly before we log off?
No, I think we've said enough.
I think we
thank
have.
you so much. I'll see you soon.
Definitely, for sure. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It is the highlight of my night. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe. And as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Geek proud.
Take care.